We are recording. You got 1 minute or so till we start time.
Yeah, Luke and I were enjoying it yesterday. Yeah, on our deck. We were sitting back looking up. He's like, Dad, and see through my glasses. And I'm like, don't. Try that. He's got those glasses that auto darken.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Dad, put those lenses on. I said, I ain't taking no chances.
You take a nap with those dark ones. You take a nap with those dark ones.
Oh, yeah. It's darker than a welding hood.
Yeah.
Welding hood goes up to 12 and that thing's darker than that.
Gonna call this door now?
Yep.
The special call meeting is now being called to order. We got the agenda here in front of us. Do I hear a motion to approve it?
I do.
Motion by Janice, do I hear a second?
Second.
By Bruce, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item C, presentations from Justin Michaelfresh and Sherman Carter Barnhart. Justin, turn the time over to you, sir.
What do I need to say?
Yeah, just walk them through what we're getting ready to do.
Yeah, so, we did receive proposals, for the site preparation package earlier. I think Steven sent some preliminary, information out to both of you. The low bidder was, from Nationwide Sports Construction. We have asked them to follow up and send in their, form proposal attachments, like for unit prices and some of the things that they need a little extra, every bidder needs a little extra time after the fact, so we always ask for that from just the low bidder. But they were at $907,000, and then we also had another bid, from Hinkle Construction for, $1,120,054. So, Nationwide Sports Construction, is the apparent low. Steve and I did do I have asked my office, I haven't personally worked with them, but I've asked my office if anyone had experience, and I did find online that they're, currently doing the baseball field renovation at Corbin Independent. So I think Steven, emailed David Cox to see what his experience has been there, but, and then we also received bids on the, greenhouse. The greenhouse, we got one bid from Hinkle Construction Services, and it was $434,390. Now, that's significantly over where we anticipated being. I think at this point, what we would recommend doing, if it's the board's pleasure, would be enter into negotiation with Hinkle and see where we can find some, areas to lower that cost and see how low we can get it. With the board operating under model procurement, we can, negotiate after the fact, with the low bidder there, so that's what I would recommend on that one. Any questions for me on any of that stuff?
So the construction is for just leveling out everything?
Yeah, so, the first package that we did earlier this afternoon is basically all of the earthwork, the fencing, the track, and the surfacing for the track, even the curb around, the field. But then the aggregate inside that, the drainage and the turf is all part of the co-op proposals that you'll see tonight. So
Okay.
outside of that, everything else is in that, first package there.
I didn't know if any of these companies, when they're going to give proposals tonight, actually do all of that services.
Yeah, so here's what we did. What we heard from most of them when we had the pre-bid meeting last week was that, look, we just don't wanna be put in a situation where we bid the, earthwork or the aggregate and the drainage, and then we're not the turf vendor that's selected, cause obviously they don't wanna install their drainage system for another turf manufacturer. So what we ended up doing was pulling the aggregate and the base and the drainage system out of the site prep package and putting it in with the turf. So they've got a complete system and proposal to give you there. Any other questions?
I just recommend that we do, work with Hinkle to work on a different,
On
a
the
little bit
greenhouse?
lower budget. on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, for the greenhouse.
See if we get the price down, if we get the price down, so.
Right,
Yeah.
right, negotiated.
And I do think a lot of that was impacted by the getting utilities to that site, so we had to get electric, both power and water out there to that location, so I think that, was more than we anticipated. But we'll get further breakdown and kind of see what the cost overruns were and see what we can do to bring that down.
Cool. And I guess you wanna rotate them in?
Yeah.
We budgeted about,
Yeah, so we've got about 15 minutes, I think, for each vendor tonight, so I think what we've asked everybody to do is kind of, they're gonna tell you why they think their product is the product that you guys should use, and they've also put together their cost proposals, again, based on providing you a complete system from the drain base up, including the drainage and the carpet, basically, and all the graphics, so.
We're
That-
here with Alice.
first.
Good, all right. Justin, thank you. Mr. Colley, thank you, board, for allowing me to be here. My name is Jimmy Radovian. I'm the business development manager with Hellas in Tennessee, Kentucky, and North Alabama. I actually live in Nashville, but I've spent a lot of time up here over the last couple of years, especially with the UK job, and then hopefully working with Mr. McCauley and you guys in the future. This presentation is a little condensed. Obviously, I only have a certain amount of time, so if you guys want me to send the full presentation, I'd be happy to post analysis for y'all's benefit, but I just wanted to brief that. As we get going, the first thing I want you guys to remember these two words: slit film and monofilament. So remember that as we get into this: slit film, S-L-I-T, film, F-I-L-M, and monofilament, monofilament. A little bit about Hellas. So we are the nation's largest sports construction contractor. What does that mean? We are the complete one-stop solution for sports construction. Our basis comes out of Austin, Texas. Our two southeast offices are in Tampa and Raleigh, North Carolina, with an office in Nashville, Tennessee coming in 2025. The southeast has been our next push, as we own about 81% of the market in the state of Texas. If you guys know anything about that, Texas likes to build fields before they build churches down there. So it is a good market to dominate. But again, we specialize in the manufacture of our own turf, the general contract. We can act as an architect, we can act as an engineer, basically giving you guys a one-stop shop, one contact for this entire scope, where we all know in construction projects, when you got 4 or 5 vendors, it can get dicey with blaming and pointing fingers. Since our inception, we've impacted students from K through 12s, local parks, colleges, and also professional teams nationwide. We deliver on time, every time, for our clients. If you walk into any athletic facility, you guys kind of have something right there where all your state championships, and I call this kind of our Hellas brag wall. There's obviously some very well-known logos that you would maybe recognize up there, but we are also very proud of some of our recognizable local partners and their trust in what we do and what we can offer. I just like to show this just because I think this is a pretty cool deal for us. We now have 17 NFL partners. With that being said, in 2013, we had 6 NFL partners. So since 2013, in a league where synthetic turf is the most harshly criticized, 17 different NFL teams, that's over half the league, trust us. These are our 7, because the Chargers and the Rams play in SoFi. These are our 7 teams that play on our turf on their stadiums. And this is the 6 or 7 teams that have indoor facilities with us that have natural grass stadiums. One thing I did want to point out is Indianapolis is going on currently up at Lucas Oil. We were just awarded that one. Moving forward, reference projects. Obviously, the University of Kentucky. We installed this field last March for the university. We did this as well as their indoor football center. We used to have a track around it, expanded it from turf wall to wall, so we did both Nutter Fieldhouse and Kroger Field at UK. Next, Bowling Green Independent Schools. This past fall and summer, we installed 3 fields for them. This is the soccer lacrosse field that we did for them. We also installed a baseball and softball field for them as well. And then the third one is Paducah Tillman. This is about 3 years old, installed this over in Paducah. Very proud of this project. We also have resurfaces this summer going in at McCracken County High School for the track, the football turf, and the indoor football turf. Other reference jobs in the local area for you guys, or kind of local, not necessarily super local, would be Greene County. We have a field. We did the field at Greene County. And then we did a running track over at Montgomery County Schools. And then we also did 7 fields up at the Lexington Soccer Club. So now this is, I told you to slit film and monofilm it, right? So now I'm just going to give you a brief history of what the synthetic turf industry was, what it's become. Obviously, some of you may be old enough, I'm not going to say your ages, that's not my job, but some of y'all may be old enough to remember the original artificial turf back in the 60s, 70s, 80s from Houston, the Astrodome, right? Very low pile height on a concrete slab. Not the safest, very abrasive, so they had to create some innovation. So they created a long pile height in the 90s, and that technology was called slit film. And what you'll see with slit film is the fibers are extruded almost like a honeycomb, right? So what those honeycomb fibers do over a long period of time is they rip off from each other, and they become weaker fibers. And the design of them is to lay over, right? So what happens when these fibers lay over is your UV deprivation is hitting the sides of it, which is not good because that's going to break down the fiber quicker over a long period of time. Also, since the fibers are laying over, naturally your rubber infill is going to rise, creating maybe some slickness and some loose foot traction in and out of your turf system. The whole entire goal of a turf system is to make it feel and play like natural grass. I will tell you this, at the NFL level, the NFL Players Association, and I have the article that I can send you guys, at the NFL level, the NFL Players Association has called for an immediate ban of all slit film fibers. Something to wrap your head around as we continue to go on with this. Okay, this is what a full slit film turf looks like. Very plasticky, very shiny. When you watch it on TV, you guys, my goal for you guys is after this meeting, you go watch NFL games this year, you'll be able to generate what is what style of turf. But you can tell that is a very plasticky looking original innovation from the 90s. Okay, and then you had the next thing that was created, which was called monofilament. Monofilament, one blade coming out of the vacuum, designed to play most like natural grass, right? Well, at the end of the day, a monofilament fiber still has a spine angle. So when that spine angle breaks, what's that fiber doing? It's laying over, right? So all your foot traffic, again, is on the side of the fibers. All your sun deprivation, again, is on the side of your fibers, ultimately causing the duration of your turf system to lessen because of the constant fiber wear from the cleats, but also the sun deprivation. Okay, so this would be a monofilament. Looks a little more aesthetically pleasing, but you still have some of those issues of the turf laying over a long period of time. And then you have what most of we're going to see in this in an architect spec throughout the country, but also throughout Kentucky. This is kind of a base spec that everybody does. This is what you'll see at most fields in this state. This is a hybrid. So this would be a combination of both monofilament and slit film. The design of this was to give you the density and the strength of the monofilament fibers, but also the economical price of the slit film fibers. Basically, my point is monofilament's going to be more expensive, slit film's going to be cheaper long term. Obviously, there's reasons why, because of the style it is. So that is a blended fiber. Now, I do want you to know this is exactly what we have quoted for you guys per Sherman Barnhart Carter's spec. The blended fiber, it's a great system. I'm not saying it's not, that's what we did at Bowling Green. But on a football field, I'm going to try to give you guys what our proprietary product, and I'll show you that real quick. Sorry, this went off. So, obviously I don't need to read off all these benefits to monofilament versus slip film, but basically what you're gonna see in our proprietary monofilament system is that twist in the fiber. And what that twist does is it takes out the spine angle, and slowly that fiber is gonna regain its shape, right? So this would be that monofilament system. When I step down on this or put my hand down on this, you'll see immediately those fibers springing back into place. The point of turf is to get the cleat in, cleat out. With this style, since the fibers will always be standing up, the sun deprivation hits the tips, not the sides. The field's gonna last longer. So cleat in and out interface goes in the fibers and out versus on top of the fibers and out. Just something for you guys to know as we continue on. Okay, so what else makes our products better? C8 resin. So all of our products are made from the highest quality resin possible. Okay, C8 resin, the best analogy I can give you is, you guys know the company Smart Water, where you go get a bottle of Smart Water. That bottle is pretty dense. You're going to be able to reuse that bottle over and over again several times, right? Versus if you go get a 7-Eleven water bottle, you drink it once, you're probably not going to be able to refill that over time. So C8 resin automatically is going to give you a 25% longer life cycle on your turf. Okay, and this rating right here, this testing machine right here, basically simulates over foot traffic, and that's where the C8 performs compared to C4 and C6. Everybody has the ability to use C8 resin. We just use it because it's quality versus the cheaper one. Any questions on C8 resin?
Did you get that from Dow?
What's that?
You all get that?
We got that from Dow, yes. All that was done from the Dow company, correct. So, what do we have is your base spec. Now, I want you guys to go ahead and open up your proposals, the base bid. So we'll see on it right here, your base proposal, $735,868. And that is for this fiber, all the rock, all the drainage, the rubber and sand infill. Okay, so that is your base bid, what is read in the specs. This is, again, a good product, but it's not my premium product. I'm gonna show you good, better, and best. This is what I would call good right here. Okay, this is a good product, it's a quality product, but it's not my best product, okay? So Fusion is your base bid, dual fiber, combination of slit film and monofilament fibers.
Is this, sorry to interrupt, but is this to cover everything inside the track or just the actual football field?
Everything inside the track. All the turf that is quote, yes. Everything on that rendering. Yes. Good question. So, now I'm gonna give you our best. If you go down to the next page, I'm sorry, our better, not our best. If you go down to the next page on alternate number 3, add alternate for the Helix shape memory technology on the synthetic turf. This is our premium. This is what we put at the University of Kentucky. This is what we put in all 17 of our NFL fields. This is what Paducah Tillman has, McCracken County has, Greene County has, Lexington Soccer Club has. This is what I want to install every time I get a chance. So this is what I would call my better. You add the 30,810. So if you do your base bid plus a Helix upgrade is what we call it, your total price is $766,678. If you want to write that down, total price for a Helix add. Remember, this is better. So I gave you good, Fusion. I'm giving you better, Helix. You guys have football players here? Want to look at that? Go ahead and look at that.
7 what, what's that?
766,678. Okay? Now, so that would be for us to come in and install just the turf system. Okay? But one thing that we are big fans of is a shock pad system. Okay? And either way you go with the shock pad, I would consider this the best system we can offer. Helix, shock pad, rubber infill. Okay, these are two different styles of shock pads, but I want you to really take in the benefits to both of them. Okay, this is our Cush Drain shock pad. It's a Mega Rubber and River Pea gravel shock pad. The River Pea gravel allows it to open up, which allows the water to drain through. So it's gonna expedite your drainage up to 2,000 inches per hour. So it's actually, not only is it a shock pad, but it's also a drainage pad. Okay, the way it's installed is kind of like asphalt. It's paved in play, it's fully porous, there's no joints, there's no pieces that you have to rip up. And the cool thing about that pad is it's got a 25-year life cycle. You're gonna get 3 to 4 cycles of carpet on that pad without having to do anything to your subbase. So, is it expensive up front? Yes, there is an add-on. If you go with the Matrix Helix, the Cush Drain shock pad, you're looking at $972,350 for your total package. But what you have to understand about this pad is it's your ROI pad. When you come in here in 12 years and replace the carpet, we will not have to do any work on the subbase because that shock pad's going to protect it. It's not going anywhere. That's the shock pad we did install at University of Kentucky. That's also the shock pad that we're installing at Tillman, McCracken, and other counties throughout the state. That is our top of the line premier shock pad right there. NFL quality, obviously, with the GMAX stuff, the standard GMAX rated NFL is 97. Is 100 for natural grass. Our shock pad, the Cush Drain, is constantly testing at 97, which is you want your GMAX to be anywhere between 90 and 110 for a safe field for athletes. Anytime it gets over 110, you need to worry about the field not being shock absorbed safe. That's not going to happen though, especially with a newer field. That would basically be more on an older field that's been run down that may not have a shock pad. So that's something to keep in mind. But that is our Cush Drain pad. Again, the total with the Cush Drain pad and our top of the line turf, $973,350. And then you have more of an economical pad. This is our wave pad. It's different in the sense of the Cush Drain pad because it's an expanded polypropylene pad that comes in pieces. So basically it's gonna go down like a puzzle. The difference in that one is that's got a 16-year warranty. So you're only gonna get possibly 2 life cycles out of that pad. The other issue with that pad is it could, 25. The other issue with that pad is it can break. So you may have to replace panels over time. And the problem with that is you might have to cut the turf up, which could create some things. So it's a good pad. It tests great, the safety measures are on it, but I want you to understand the difference in the longevity and the return on your investment with this shock pad versus the Cush Drain.
Can you explain the GMAX just real quick to everybody?
So GMAX is basically the number, basically a GMAX test is this big metal ball, and they drop it on a field, and it relates numbers back to the little Palm Pilot or whatever you're using. And like I said, anywhere between 90 and 110, you're good. It gets higher, the harder your field gets. It gets lower, the softer. You don't want your field too soft, but you don't want your field too hard. You want it right in the middle. So 90 to 110 is an ideal range. Obviously, with the Cush Drain and this wave pad, we're going to be consistently 97. The standard for NFL natural grass is 100. So,
the explanation is, what's that ball simulating?
head impact.
So,
Impact, yes. Impact of a 250-pound kid. None of y'all are 250 yet. But the impact of a big kid getting hit and hitting the ground. Basically like the Hick test on a playground. It's very similar to the Hick test, which is your critical fall height. But obviously no one's going to be falling from 4 feet on a football, hopefully. I mean, unless somebody jumps up. But the point being is this is going to test at a quality rate. And this is more of an economical price pad. It's going to provide you the same benefits, except the long term. It's not going to have the same warranty as the 25, but it also could require replacing pieces when you do replace the turf in 10 to 12 years. Okay, the price for the price for Helix plus our wave system, remember, both pads are what I would call our best system. So the price for the Matrix Helix and this wave pad is $862.53. So let's go here and look at this proposal. First off, any questions on products or anything like that? Nothing? Okay, so obviously you have your breakouts of the alternate costs basically the reason I did this is obviously the base proposal was to fit the spec. We fit the spec, we matched the spec, we're okay, we're happy to do that if that's what y'all are wanting. But I did wanna show you some different options, just in case you wanted to see it, and that's why I brought those pads. Another thing we did have an alternate, and I don't know, Justin, this may be something you can answer. I figured you guys are probably gonna need new field goal posts on this.
Yes.
So I did run an alternate, I did not see anywhere where that was bid, and I didn't wanna miss it just in case we needed to bid that. So I did put an alternate for our own Hellas field goal posts. I also provided an alternate to use our Eco Nailer, Justin, like we talked about. Our nailer board is not a wood nailer board. Most of our competitors use a wood nailer board. The problem with the wood nailer board is it's gonna rot over time. Our nailer board is an Eco Nailer, which is all recycled turf. Just like the Cushtrain pad, it has a 25-year life cycle as well. So when you replace carpet, you're not gonna have to replace the nailer, something to point out. Basically, the nailer board, for you don't know what that means, that's the wooden board, or what we use, a recycled turf board that goes up against the concrete curb that the turf attaches to. So think about pressure treated wood. Rain, snow, you guys get flooding, that's gonna rot over time. Maybe not in the first life cycle, but you're gonna have to replace it eventually is my point. And then the last alternate we added was the maintenance plan. So basically what this maintenance plan, this would be a $38,000 add on top. And this means we would come out for an 8-year, standard industry warranty is 8 years on turf. So this is an 8-year maintenance plan. We would come out every 8 years, do a deep clean, which is our clean sweep. And then we would tie up any loose seams, repair any turf areas that may need to be repaired. Basically, it's a day of maintenance for you guys, and you're just paying for it up front versus instead of calling me and say, hey, Jimmy, can you get a crew out here this summer and clean our field? No, it's already counting it into it. So now every 8 years, me and you will communicate. You'll be like, hey, when can you be out here? And usually it's the summer before football season to get it ready for the school year. So something to consider as well. Moving forward, obviously, orange turf. We can do it. We're happy to do it. I do want to explain this to you guys though. And I've talked to you at KSBA. Bruce, I think we talked about it at KSBA as well. The orange field is going to fade. Over time, it's going to fade. It will not be, and I know this color orange very well because I'm in Tennessee and people wear this orange all over every day. So I get orange. I will say this though, you cannot control sun deprivation on a colored field. It'd be like putting a red field in. The other reference I can give you is think of like at a baseball field when they put rail paddings on the dugouts for players to stand on. If you do them in red or orange over a period of time, the integrity of that color is going to change. Okay, now what I do want to point out is we are happy to do this. You guys have got it approved by the powers that be over at Boise State. I just want to point out the fact that it will fade. And in 5 or 6 years, I want you guys to understand that it will fade, and it could be salmon, peach, who knows what color. It just depends on the sun deprivation. So that is something that I want you guys to truly evaluate before making that decision. Like I said, it's not going to affect the product. The product's going to last. It's going to be great, but the sun could cause changes in the aesthetics. And when you're talking about $1.5 to $2 million worth of investment, you wouldn't go buy a pink Ferrari and then have it fade to a different color is my point, right? So again, we can do it. We're happy to do it, but I also wanted to show you this option as well. I think this is a very good option too, just in case you guys were maybe want to stay with the green, but it still gets your orange pride color in there as well. I know orange means a lot to the district, and I'm all in for that. But I did want to show you this option too if you did want to maybe stay with a green field. Again, I'm not telling you what to do. We're fine to go either way, but I would feel like I'm not doing my job to tell you guys that it will probably fade if you do orange, and that color will change from the original color. And when you maybe have to come in and replace certain pieces of it, that new turf is going to stick out.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's not been faded like the rest of the turf, the sun.
Everybody I've talked to, they put their extra turf on the roof so it gets.
Well, you can do that too. Yeah, you can do
That's
that.
exactly what you would do.
Yes, you can do that. If the extra stuff you get, leave it out in the sun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's if you go with the orange, do that. You'll have extra turf from the original installation, So keep whatever excess you have out in the sun. That is, yes, that's right.
So you're saying this orange is Tennessee orange,
I was
because
gonna
that's
say,
not, that's
we're not Tennessee
we're not
orange.
Well,
Tennessee
I'm
orange.
colorblind with orange too, so I meant in general, orange is, I'm used to seeing orange, not, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that,
No,
but
that's us.
that's the orange.
Okay, that's
So it
fine.
matches your jacket.
Is there any difference in the, if you got the if you went with the Helix that stood more upright, would it be less resistant to the fading just because it's not laid
Yes.
over versus?
Possible,
the-
correct,
the lower
that's a good
fading?
point.
And then also, is there any timeline difference in, is there any jeopardy of meeting the timeline?
No.
Getting it in?
Since we control our manufacturing, I need 30 days to have a whole field ready.
Cause this is just a color change for
It's
you,
just a
right?
color change for me.
You all do running color changes?
We do,
Okay.
but I did not bid the track this time.
No, I'm talking about running color changes on your product.
Yes.
When you extrude it.
Yes, sorry.
So if we go with the best, that when you hit it and it comes back up and we do the orange, the possibility of it fading won't be as quick.
Won't be as strong and probably not as protrude versus a fiber laying over.
Well, now does the green fade?
No.
Now why is that?
UV colors is different, like
Yeah.
red, fade, I mean, that's why I'm glad you guys are doing a black track and not like an orange or a red track. Anything that has lighter bases in their color is naturally gonna fade. Green is green, I mean, and with this dual panel, you're not gonna see any fading in that. However, Mr. Colley made a great point, because these fibers are standing up, you do have a longer longevity. Because like you said, the sun is not hitting where, if it hits the sides, that's the deprivation long-term versus just hitting the tips. Again, I'm not saying that it's gonna fade quicker or not quicker, depending on what style, but that is a good point. It's something I hadn't really thought about, the fact that, yeah, because the fibers are designed to stand up longer, your sun's not gonna hit those sides of it, so you could get more longer life cycle with a better look at the orange versus if the fibers are all laying over.
Real quick, so there's been talk of adding extra UV to it, but from what I know of plastics manufacturing, is you get from the manufacturer the formula. If you change the formula, that's gonna possibly change the characteristics, the color and
Sure.
everything else. So the orange color you got there it's been chemically designed to be that color.
Correct.
If you put extra additives in it, you can get another color.
That's right. So like when we did, for example, when we did Clemson's, we did Clemson University or Clemson University's indoor, their orange is a little different than others.
Yeah.
So we had to actually get their Pantone number and specifically make it. Same thing with UK, because if you see this blue right here, our standard blue is Florida blue. The last thing that UK wanted was Florida blue. They have a Wildcat blue, which is patented to them. So they had to send me, and we had to make it, get it approved by them before we could do it. But this is just our standard Pantone 166C orange right here. So this will not change whenever, if like, for example, if we needed to make you more fibers in 5 or 6 years to replace an area, we would just go back to what we originally put in to make that fiber.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you know that, Bruce. Leave any leftover out and let it sit in the sun. You might say, well, he doesn't want it to get rain, and no, that's what you wanna do to make sure that the integrity stays the same long term.
I talked to Eastern Washington.
I was gonna say, they have a red field, right? What do they say about it?
They've replaced, they installed it in 2010 and just redid it in 2022.
Okay,
And he said there was hardly any fade.
really?
And I was talking to the facility manager, so he would be the
Right.
guy.
Oh, absolutely.
And he said they got the extras off the roof.
Right.
And it was still.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not telling you all what to do. I'm just giving you the possibility of what could happen. Just like Mr. Emmons, when you asked me several weeks ago and I sent you in writing, look, we can provide any solutions that you guys want. This is about what you guys want. But at the end of the day, I also want to tell you the possible scenarios that could come up long term. So I'm thrilled to do an all orange field because I think it could be an awesome, not selfishly an awesome marketing piece for me, because you guys would be the first orange field I've ever seen. You can look it up on Google, there's not any orange fields anywhere. So I think it'd be cool either way. I just want you guys to truly know all the details on what the longevity, that's the whole point of these things. These are investments, right? What is it gonna do for me in 6 years? What is it gonna do for me in 12 years?
So one question on this rendering, this orange rendering, is there any way that we can outline that in white?
Yeah, we can.
Because it's not standing out. The Greyhound, the Hustling Hound doesn't stand out in the orange. I mean, it's really, it blends.
I mean, we could, I think you also have to understand that it's gonna look a lot different when it's actually
Yeah.
in versus a piece of paper rendering. But if that's something we can explore, if I get awarded, we can run around and with our design and see what they can do to make that pop a little better. The other thing, I've noticed the 2 sponsorship logos, you guys want them on the home side, both of them? Is that how you want that?
That's the side we got, right?
Yeah, it's on the side.
Okay, so that's, okay.
Well,
Cause usually we'll put one on one side and one on the other side, like at the 25s, kinda like UK has their SEC logos. But I showed it how it was written from Justin, and I just wanted to make sure that was the plan, to keep one bleacher side.
Right, because we only have one side
Right.
bleachers.
they could potentially be.
Yes, we could put them in here and nothing will change.
Still
Yeah.
facing the bleacher,
Yes.
bleacher, but maybe.
But yeah, if you wanted to put them between the hashes,
Mhm.
you could do that too. So that'd be up to you, and again, that's not gonna change
Yeah.
anything.
And we can legally do that
Mhm.
through KS.
I got it in writing from
Okay.
KHSA. We just can't interrupt the lines, you have to break for the
Yeah.
hash marks.
Oh, okay.
And one thing I will say is all the lines, hash marks, and logos are all cutouts. So basically your whole field, the end zones will be blacked out. I call it green out normally because we're doing green, but technically this would be called orange out. So the whole field would be oranged out. The lines, the only lines that aren't cutouts will be either white border and the main lines, because the main lines is where the seams meet, right? So we're gonna meet each panel at the main yard lines. But all your hash marks, your numbers, any logos are all cutouts. We'll come in, put it on top, cut it around it, re-glue it, and seam it together.
Is your proposal, the exterior of the field, is it all orange too, if you go into the track, or is it green? Are we pivoting to green?
So that's good, I see what you're
The
asking.
track's gonna go.
So
wide.
this quote, you have to understand, we just put this over top of what's existing at Paris, but this is all based on his plans.
Okay.
What we did was just put it on top.
So it would be green, or orange then?
Yes, yes,
Is
it would be orange meeting the track.
If we wanted it to be green to soften the
Correct.
sea of orange.
We could change that
That
too,
would not be.
no issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
So-
My estimator told me make sure to let them know that this rendering doesn't fit what's existing. This rendering is designed based on their plans. And we didn't put a track in there because we didn't bid that scope.
Gotcha.
So I just wanted you to see, there's 70,000 square foot of turf in there, and that's what we wanted to quote you.
Yeah, we probably got 100 times of the other ones.
No, I'm good. I mean, if you guys have any questions, I think I'm good.
So the bottom line, the price with the best turf, the best padding was the
973, 350.
okay.
If you wanna keep this, you can keep this. I wrote down all your numbers, so basically that reads, that's the base bid with the helix, that's the base bid plus the cush drain, base bid plus the wave pad, and this is the cush drain helix, wave
But
helix.
this was the one that we,
Yes, that's the best. Alright, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you guys. You guys wanna keep any samples or anything, or you good?
That's good.
I'm gonna give you these, if you don't mind. I don't need these things.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you guys so
Well,
much.
thank you, we appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to possibly working with you guys.
We just came to see. We just got done practicing.
Cool. They got 4 more to go, so you're welcome. You guys wanna go?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Get the picture if you want.
I'm gonna sit here.
The one, the most.
Do you really? Hurry up, oh my gosh, you got this.
Hello, hello.
I'm so excited to be surrounded by musicians.
How is everybody?
Hello, well, well, and yourself?
Great. Where's the best place to set up?
Right there.
Right here? This?
Yep.
Good, okay.
So are you all having fun yet?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Tons. I know more about, field turf than I ever thought I was going to.
Yeah?
But it's I before E except after C, okay?
That's right.
Just saying.
I think there's more to that saying, and my wife, who's a first grade teacher, would probably know it, but I do not. Except after C,
Or
except for
sound
CH.
as A and neighbor on way.
Right.
I have a really good English teacher. So Justin, when the school, when the elementary supposed to have been attached over spring break, did I miss that? No, I'm just asking, mother, son up.
I'm not sure.
I've checked.
I was just
Oh.
thinking that, seeing that it was gonna be attached.
I know they were working that way.
Yeah, you can. While we're waiting on him. I'm Steven with the Modes Group.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as
Thank
well.
you.
Business card. Hello. Hello. Sure. Justin, I don't know if you and I have
I've seen some of you at KSBA.
maybe at KSBA.
Yeah.
You in Transy grad?
My son plays baseball there.
Okay. We did their multi-purpose field a couple years ago.
It's okay.
I've only got 45 slides to go.
That's fine.
Okay.
Seriously?
No, I'm kidding. I have 45 slides in this presentation, but we're not gonna go through all. Just never know what you need to be prepared for.
I like the cliff notes.
We can do that.
Don't give me war and peace, I'm a cliff notes.
Don't need it all, don't worry. Welcome back, welcome back. All right. No, you're fine.
Got a beard and
Yeah.
Grab my notebook out.
We'll be ready. Over here, guys. The floor is ours, all right. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having us in tonight. My name's Steven Torbeck. I introduced myself to most of the folks in the room, but nice to meet you. I'm a senior field consultant with the Modes Group. Been working in this industry and with the Modes Group for a better part of a decade at this point. Joining me is probably a familiar face, Hunter Neese. He's our associate field consultant for the state of Kentucky. He was at the pre-bid meeting and has been at all the different trade shows with me over the past couple of years. So, what we've got today, I have a brief presentation. I've jokingly said it's 45 slides. I'm only going through probably 7 or 8 of them, just to give you a little bit of background on who we are. Ordinarily, what we would do is I'd kind of go around the room and try to better understand each of your roles within the within this particular project.
I understand I'm talking with the board here, the CFO, superintendent, any other groups represented? Architect, obviously. Okay. With that said, if you all have any questions about anything that I'm sharing today, certainly feel free to stop me. But want to be conscious of the time that we have. They're already starting to stack up in the hallway out there. So, quick show of hands, how familiar is the group with, or who is familiar with the Mo's Group, I should say? Okay. Familiar from other projects we've done, or just from this particular project?
This particular project and
Okay.
some stuff I've done, so.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm gonna take you through a real quick snapshot of kind of who we are. We're unique in the sense that we are a sports turf contractor. We are not a carpet manufacturer. So some of the groups that you all are likely to hear from tonight are more focused on the carpet itself. Certainly an incredibly important portion of this project. There's also a lot of work that happens beneath the carpet that is equally as critical. So the reason I share all of that is we partner with Shaw Sports Turf. Shaw is our manufacturing partner. They're a division of Shaw Flooring, the largest North American flooring manufacturer. That gives us access to the latest and greatest in R&D. All of the turf products that you'll hear about tonight, quite frankly, there's a lot of parity in turf. A lot of companies out there can make a good carpet. A lot of companies can even install a good field. What's different about the Moats Group is, one, our locality to here, and two, the situation that you all have. My understanding is that this is in a floodway. Is that accurate? Yeah. How often is there water on that field?
It just depends, like earlier this year, we thought we would probably get covered, but it didn't even get close. Other places got.
I guess it's been over the field since what, about 2015, 16?
Yeah.
15 was the bad one, and then there's been a few times where you caught the edge, but nothing over time.
I think the last, one before that was
97?
97.
Yeah, 97.
97.
School
Bad
board
for-
Yeah, 97 and 2015 are the last two big ones.
Okay, well, one of the reasons why us being close by is important is when these fields do get underwater, for the most part, you can attend to them and clean them and kind of get them back to good working order. Being that we're just 90 minutes up the road, you all are gonna want a partner that you trust, that you know is gonna be here. So we'll get into a little bit more about who we are, but 45 years in the sports field industry, under the same leadership. So I was just sharing with the gentleman out in the hallway. Joe Moats, our founder, is still heavily involved, just not on maybe the day-to-day operations side. So he got to the point where he was kind of getting up there in years and ready to kind of move into a different phase of life. And rather than selling his organization to a private equity firm or to another turf manufacturer, he sold it back to the employees. So Hunter and I are both employee owners. What that means to you is we're that much more invested in the success of this project. We've got 750 fields worldwide. 110 of them are in the state of Kentucky, and on 5 different continents. So I mentioned that we are a full-service sports field contractor. So what I mean by that is we certainly do synthetic turf. We also still build natural grass fields, which is kind of how we got our start back in the late 70s. But we still build natural grass fields at the professional level. Recently, we've done work with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Reds as a partner, Cincinnati Bengals are a partner. There's quite a few pretty major professional organizations that we do natural grass work with. The reason that's important, when you think about the purpose of synthetic turf, the idea is how do we mimic the best characteristics of high performance, well-maintained natural grass fields, but do so in such a way that we're not gonna lose programming time. So we take everything that we know from the natural grass side and we apply that to what we do on the synthetic turf side. I mentioned that we're local. What that also allows us to do is have a field maintenance team. So we've got 4 fully staffed field maintenance teams, whether that's service or an annual cleaning that we offer. We offer track cleaning, project management, and we actually manufacture a couple of infills that are alternatives to the rubber sand systems you're likely hearing about. We'll touch on one of them specifically, EnviroFill, as it relates to potential for flooding here in just a second. So warranty and aftercare, as I like to put it, this is the secret sauce of the Moats Group. I mentioned you're going to want a partner that you trust. obviously the way the specification was written, the full system warranty is very important to you all. You don't want two different contractors building the base and another contractor building the turf field and pointing fingers about whose job it is to come back and make a repair if one were ever arise. In doing it this way, we do offer an 8-year single source policy on that full system, on the stone-based drainage and the turf. And we back that up with a 24-hour play critical guarantee. You get a hash mark that comes loose, it floods, you name it. Our promise to you is that we'll be here quickly to get that taken care of for you, or to at least formulate a plan on how to take care of that. We are under 7 hours year to date from the time we took a call until the time we've been on site and the report repair has been made. And that is really over the course of entire state of Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, and Ohio. So being that you're about just under 90 minutes, I think, from our office, we would be here pretty quickly. I also know that the plan here is to go the route of an orange field. A few folks stopped by and spoke with Hunter at the KSBA show a few weeks back, specifically had questions around fading. We have a lot of experience with using something other than green fields. Ludlow is one that's in a similar situation in the sense that they're right along the Ohio River. They do expect that sometime over the life of the field they are going to get flooding. So we'll talk about that specific system in a minute, but relative to the color of the fields, Ludlow is red. You can go to the next one. We did a blue one for Kentucky Country Day. We recently did this is up in the Indianapolis area, a gray one for Greenwood High School. And relative to you can stop there, we'll jump into the proposal in just a second. But relative to the color fastness of all those fields, we've certainly met client expectations over the life of those fields. So, any questions so far? Anything else you'd like me to hit on before we jump into the proposal?
You all did those?
We did.
And how long ago did you put that in?
Ludlow is this.
Last year?
No, year before, I think. Might have been last year. Yeah, last year.
Yep.
You're all flying by.
Could you go back to that picture real quick?
Yes. It is fire engine red too. Like when you're on the field, it's definitely a unique look.
Did we play up there this year?
Other fields that we've done locally, I don't have pictures of them to share today, but other fields that we've done locally, we did Mason County, Franklin County, Western Hills, Kentucky State, Center College. We've got a bunch over in the Louisville market. So I'm just gonna pass out these packets. Inside of the packet is a lot of the information that I just kind of zipped through in that presentation. I'll let you read that at leisure. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up to the scope and to the pricing. So we've got a base bid system based on the details that were shared by Justin and his team that you'll see there. And then we got a couple of alternates that we would encourage you to just consider as it relates to the field. Let me grab one for you, Justin. Just if you open up to that tab there. Are you Jennifer?
I am.
Jennifer, nice to meet you. So if you open it up to that tab, you'll see the scope and pricing. Our base bid there is the subgrade, from subgrade up for a 50-ounce system, so slightly heavier face weight than what was specified. That would be our dual fiber turf. I've got some small samples of the actual orange so you can see that. Any questions on that system? I mean, that is essentially what was in the specification from Justin and his team. So dual fiber, 2 1/4 inch rubber and sand infill with an orange turf field. And detailed on the next couple pages is the scope that's associated with that, but it's, in short, it's from subgrade up. Alternate one, we didn't make this the base bid because it is a couple ounces lower than the 50 ounce, just slightly lower than the 48 ounce that was specified. What I would say is there's really no change in performance difference between a 46 ounce and a 50 ounce or 46 and a 48 .28 ounce, so you can see there's a pretty substantial deduct to go that route without any change of performance. The alternate two is to add a shock pad. Are you all familiar with shock pads at all?
Yes, they are.
Okay, is that of interest on this project?
But
Yes?
It's a must.
Must? Okay,
Yeah.
so you've got that solution, which is either of these fit into that price range. And so that's from a company called Thermagreen. This is from a company called Schmitz. Both of those are post-industrial foam from the automotive industry. So they cut out headliners or dashboards or what have you in Michigan. They actually both have a plant in Michigan. All of that byproduct is then sent off to various other places, including to shock pad companies to produce those for synthetic turf.
What's the warranty on those?
Those are both 25-year warranties. Yep.
How's this installed?
The one that's over there is actually comes in a big roll, and is rolled out across the field and then, just kind of lays flat. That one is puzzle cut. So they're 4 foot by 6 foot pieces with puzzle cut edges that they lock together.
What's the off-gassing for a big roll like that?
The off-gassing,
You know, with all the byproducts of the automotive industry.
yeah, so it's all closed cell foam, so, you know, any off-gassing that would happen is happening at the facility, but I've not had that question before, so I don't know.
Because byproducts stink.
Yeah, well, it's, I mean,
I work in plastics manufacturing, so.
Okay.
I know that they stink after they sit for a while, so.
yeah. So like I said, the foam is closed cell, so usually the question I get is, well, is this gonna hold water, is it gonna absorb water, bacteria, mold, whatever? There's no way for water to get into that, it's passing through the void spaces, but it's not actually seeping into the material. We are just kind of getting to the first evolution of these fields where we're taking the carpet off and we're putting a new system on top of the original pad that's 12, 13 years old, and it looks the same as it did the day it was installed. One of the other benefits to a pad, and I'm not sure if anybody shared this, beyond just shock attenuation, is allows you to kind of dial in the performance of the infill. So when you're talking rubber and sand, if you don't have a pad, you have to have a certain amount of rubber in the field in order to provide the necessary shock attenuation. By putting in a pad, you can go much heavier with sand or even go with a completely different product. Because your shock attenuation is accounted for from the pad. What Ludlow did is they actually utilized an infill product that you'll see on alternate 3. Specifically, you know, what this is, it's a acrylic coated sand, especially round granule sand that you can only find in Central Texas. The reason why it's being round matters is it doesn't compact over time, so the way it performs on day 1 is very similar to how it's going to perform on year 10, 12, 15. It does have an antimicrobial infused into that, the acrylic coating. What that means is if it floods, mold, mildew, bacteria, it has an inhibitor that's keeping that from growing within the infill profile. The other aspect of this is it's much heavier than a rubber sand system. So if this field floods and it's rubber and sand, that you can expect that infill is gonna migrate to some degree if it's rubber. With a product like this, like they have at Ludlow, it's that exact product, that exact color. Should it flood, it's gonna do a much better job of kind of staying put where it's at and helping hold the turf field down. And then the final alternate there is for our MOTS 365 service plan. As I mentioned, you know, we have 4 fully staffed MOTS 365 service teams. What this alternate is we come back once a year through the end of that warranty period. You can buy this on a year-by-year basis. What this is to actually cover that entire 8-year period and the upfront contract. But we come back, we do a deep clean of the carpet. You name it, we probably pulled it out of a turf field. So our marketing team actually just put this together. But this is pretty common. You know, we come back and we clean up the field, we suck up the top 1/4 inch or so of the infill, run that through a sifting tray. We run a magnet across the top of it to get any ferrous materials and that type of thing out of it. We spray a topical disinfectant on it. It's essentially liquid downy, so talk about the smell. It's gonna smell like a tire store when we put in all that rubber up front if you go that route. This is a nice way to kind of inhibit static, help with the disinfectant. And then we do G-Max tests and provide you with a report from Shock Attenuation. But that's all stuff we found when we clean a synthetic turf field, and probably far worse stuff than you could ever imagine. So, what questions do you all have relative to the proposal?
Do you have any timeline issues in with you wonder because you'll have that?
Yeah, it adds maybe a week or so, but if you flip a couple of pages, actually it might be right after, yeah, that's right after the scope and pricing. We have our schedule on there. So it looks like this. This assumes, we're meeting here today, obviously. My understanding is notice to proceed will come pretty shortly thereafter. We want to get moving pretty quickly on DPOs, direct purchase orders, in order to save on taxes. But this accounts for the fact that it is an orange turf, so we would start on the base around June 1st, start on the turf around July 1st, and be done by the August 1st date that was shared by Mr. McElfresh.
Now, the turf that you have different grades of this?
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about what you're asking here. Different levels, different styles, different fibers.
Yeah, different
Different
fibers, yeah.
So there again, we matched what was requested, which was a combination of slip film and monofilament. There is about 1,000 different ways you can skin that cat, so to speak, so
Is
you
there,
got,
is there a step up from this?
no, I would say that's about as nice of a product as you're gonna get. What is preferred about a dual fiber is a couple things. If it was green, people will tell you it looks more like real grass. What I would tell you is we're not fooling anybody. You're still gonna know that it's synthetic turf out there, but it does have a more heathered look to it. But it's the combination of a monofilament and a slip film. So generally speaking, slip films are preferred at the high school level because of the amount of foot traffic that you all are gonna put on it, right? So monofilament's great, it plays wonderfully. You're probably hearing a lot in the industry, specifically coming from the NFL, around monofilament versus slip film. There is no distinguishable difference from a performance or a safety aspect between the two. The benefit to a monofilament is it's gonna stand straight up, and so sports like soccer are gonna prefer the way the ball interacts with that fiber. What I will tell you is that after enough foot traffic, so let's call it 4 or 5 years, do you all have a marching band?
Yeah.
Okay, marching band is gonna probably do more damage to these fields than anybody else. Flat-soled shoes moving back and forth in the same spot over and over and over again, that monofilament's just gonna go like that, and that performance benefit that you're getting is gonna diminish. So what we do with the dual fiber is we're combining the two, get kind of the best of both worlds. You get the durability of the slip film, but you get the aesthetic, you get the ball to surface performance of the mono. So there are more cost-effective options. A pure slip film, we certainly have, I would say the vast majority of the fields in the state, really in the country, are slip film fields, even to this day. From a cost standpoint, we're not talking $100,000 difference, but it would be close to a 5-figure savings if you went slip film. And we would be perfectly comfortable with that type of equipment, no concerns.
So what's your all's, GP rating?
G-Max.
G-Max, sorry.
Yeah, so our warranty is for 175. We'll stay under 175 for the life of the field. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, and this is without a pad, but the Consumer Product Safety Commission says it has to be under 200 in order for them to consider it playable. Of the 600 plus synthetic turf fields that we have, we're talking year 11 or 12 before we're even getting close to that 200 level with the way we go about these systems.
So what's natural grass?
Natural grass, well, it depends on what part of the country you're in and what type of root zone they have, but let's say a pristine, well-maintained, sand-based root zone, like you would find at a FC Cincinnati. Probably in the 90s, which is where a rubber sand system, no pad, would start. Actually, with a pad, it would start around 90. And what happens is it compacts over time and it kind of inches up. That's the difference between natural grass and synthetic turf.
All right, thank you.
What's your all start off at?
Depends on the system, but for the most part, you're somewhere between 90 and 110.
Okay.
Most systems do. You know, through Modes 365, we track every field we do GMAX on. And a heavy sand field, so something that's like 60% sand, 40% rubber. When you get into year 10 or 11, it's inching towards that 175, in some cases even closer to 200. Yeah. And that's not most group specific, that's gonna be any sand rubber field is gonna compact over time.
So your base bid is $681,000, and then if we wanna add one of these alternates, we'd add that to that base. amount,
That's correct. With the
Okay.
exception of the deduct, of course.
And which alternate would you recommend?
My question around flooding, I think would dictate that. So if it were me and money was no option, and then this is truly like, we'll build you a safe field and a good field regardless, and we'll help you take care of it, we'll formulate a plan if it does flood, if it's rubber or not. To protect that investment the best, and keep things from moving around that environmental system, is what I would recommend, given that there's a potential for water to be on it. So that would be alternate 3. We've got quite a few.
If
fields.
Ludlow's field is at 46 ounce,
It is, yes, it's that exact system.
The alternate 3?
That exact same system. And that 46 ounces is also at an 1 5/8 inch height. So it's more trees in the forest is how I would describe that.
Okay, I have one more
Answer.
question. When did y'all take this picture?
Maybe 6 months ago.
Mhm.
Oh, it would have been fall.
It was after they had some play on it.
It kinda looks there's a lot of light red in it, I'm seeing.
Like red?
Yeah, like it's
No,
faded.
yeah, what you're not, it's not red, you're seeing the sand. So
Is
it's,
it sand?
yeah, it's this product, and every field takes a little time to settle in. That'll look more and more red as that field gets played on.
Okay.
So you can kind of see it, it's like, you
Yeah,
can see the
that's what I was
rows of the sand almost.
That's what I was noticing, I was seeing a lot of.
You see it in the black.
Oh,
more.
Yeah, I
faded.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
the fiber is not faded, it's the hand sand.
Okay.
That product, it actually comes in green primarily, but when you're putting in an orange turf or a red turf, like, green's not gonna look great, especially from an aerial, so.
Yeah.
Green and tan are the options, and typically if it's not a green field, we go with the tan.
Okay.
and when you have that rubber, you'll see that dark fade in there too. It just permeates through that color.
Yeah, you'll see the rubber, especially early on the red field.
So,
And on an orange field, we'll see a lot of black in there.
so, since we are really gonna have like a band and football on it, how long will that, lengthen the time before we have to?
I would say it's probably more dependent on maintenance practices. We do offer, we'll train you all as soon as the field is done, and we also offer anytime training after that. So if you have some turnover on your facility staff, and you need somebody to come down and retrain, we do that at no charge to you.
Now, has the base price got a system, like a tractor in it?
Not a tractor, we have a grooming brush
Okay.
Yep.
That pulls behind or in front?
behind. Yep, that was also specified by Justin and his team. What I will tell you is we see almost an additional 2 years of life out of a field that does the most 365 service.
Okay.
Not unlike your carpeted home, the better you take care of it, the better you maintain it, the better you get materials out of it that don't belong in there, the better it's gonna hold up. I would also say, grooming it regularly and grooming it the right way is gonna help maintain that color fastness better as well. Cause what happens is if those fibers lay over, there's just more exposure to the sun, more of that fiber is exposed to the sun.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
What about, well, this has been a big question, the fading factor of an orange field.
Yep.
About how long do you think it'll go before it starts fading? We know all colored fields will fade.
With the technology that is out there today from a UV stabilization standpoint, I would expect you to get through certainly the warranty period before you see really any kind of fading at all. I wouldn't expect it to be significant, even if you kept it 10, 12, 13 years. To your point, like anybody that comes in here and tells you it won't fade, it's probably not being truthful with you.
You know, we've been told it would fade, but I was just curious as to, how much fading there would be. Would it be just slightly, or would
Yeah.
it turn salmon colored?
It won't turn salmon colored. I would say if anything, it goes more Texas orange, more of like a burnt orange. But that's gonna be years down the road.
Okay.
Would be my expectation. Yeah, that, fields like this where the original red fields all went pink, and we don't see that anymore with reds. So they've done a good job of fixing that chemical composition to inhibit some of that fade.
Now, you can't put extra UV into it, because it'll change the chemical composition, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, it's formulated knowing it's a color, knowing it's gonna be stuck outside and exposed to sunlight. Bleachers, in my experience, are the worst. You put in orange bleachers, those things will fade in a hurry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Certainly, give us a shout if you got any questions. Just real quick, timeline for making the decision, I imagine pretty quickly, but the
Hopefully.
timeline.
Hopefully tonight.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time.
We
Give us a
appreciate you
shout
coming.
if
Thank
you need
you
us.
for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Good to meet you all.
You too.
You drink a Monster too?
No.
It's not added to the gas, it's added to.
You guys wanna keep any of that?
Well, since I was wondering, we need to go.
They've already do that.
Okay, so if I wanted to see how much this is going to be, all three. Am I looking at all?
Yeah, I think you will. 95,000.
Really?
Good luck.
Over.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
I didn't realize that, okay, I was thinking,
Thanks.
Thank you.
To get apples to apples.
I got it. What was Helen's warranty?
Same 8 years.
8 years.
And that's pretty much, I think, the industry standard.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's what I started out here, kind of, on these too. Trying to just create, all right. Everybody's got the best widget, right? But we need to at least start with the base, and you guys.
Both of them.
It makes sense. Yeah.
I'm doing well. Hello? Hi.
Good evening.
You guys have a fun evening planned, don't you?
Yeah.
That'll be right in.
Y'all need to hook into the TV or anything?
He's got a presentation.
You wanna do that over here, we got,
Okay.
whole thing set up.
Moppers.
So, we'll be doing
He's
So,
got,
they're gonna hook it over there. Right, are you hooking the laptop into that, or?
Yeah, we've got a HDMI right
Yeah,
here.
so it is gonna be using our laptop.
If you wanna do that.
Yeah, I think that's,
Look at
sir.
Doug's got it. I'm gonna get a power cable. I hate for the battery to run out right in the middle.
You all will be synthetic turf experts after that.
So pretty awesome, I'm glad you got it.
You got a question?
You brought our IT guy, so be patient here.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say this is the first time. All right, Doug. Let's see.
This should be it.
All right. So, hey, Doug,
Yeah.
you're the PowerPoint. So Doug, when this is a slideshow.
Yeah.
Do the little bottom one out there, to the right, over where the slider is.
Right,
See
yep.
the screen.
Oh,
Keep going, keep
big-
going right.
Hey, maybe too big, Chris.
Right now.
I got you.
You know, Chris, you want me to try to do it, so well, you can do it, that way I don't have to.
I'm gonna grab this.
There you go.
You know, that's it.
Does anybody need to stand up and stretch or anything, or you, ladies, everybody okay? Give me the card. In case we do business again, y'all can call, me if you have any issues at all. Did you hand out these?
I did not, no, I didn't know if you wanted to.
I didn't know if we'd have a PowerPoint, but this is sort of a, if you wanna, some people look, okay, just look at the screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Are you good with moving?
Yep.
All right. Okay, I'll try to make this quick, so I'm sure everybody's probably tired. My name's Doug Vessia, I'm the president of Vessia Sports Fields out of Lexington, Kentucky. James is our marketing director. This is Chris Parks, who's our field manager and director of operations, and Clint is our project manager. In case you're wondering why I brought so many people down, it's not that we didn't have anything else to do today, but whenever we have potential to do work with somebody, a client, we like them to know as many people in our firm as we possibly can, because there's, you're welcome. I give you my card, you got my cell number. If you need anything, call me. But when you call our office, we want people to know who you are. And all four of us will be directly, actually we got two other people will be, if we're doing this project, will be directly involved with this job. We've been fortunate, this is our 43rd year of business, and we're fortunate to have been able to build some very high profile fields, some professional fields, college fields, but our bread and butter, so to speak, and our model is really the community schools, the municipalities. For years, we chased the professional fields because they're sort of what we call the sexy fields of people, but there's no relationships with those. And we build relationships. We've got some places, some schools we've been doing work with for 30 years. So there's one field we're getting ready to do. That'll be the third time we're going to start that in about a few weeks. It'll be the third time we're going to strip that completely out and redo Kentucky's game field. Go ahead to the next slide, Chris, because I'm going to just try to go through some of these. Typically, our model is a lot of firms, it's no slack on them, but a lot of firms just want to do the turf. And our whole model's been building the fields. Usually we'll handle the site work, but every field we've ever built, we've done the gravel, the laser grading, the drainage. That is as important part of this whole process as the turf is. On a grass field, natural field, if you get a little bit of a problem, you can strip it off, you can fix it. With a synthetic turf field, it's not so easy. If you get a base failure, drainage failure, it creates other problems, and so this is the most important aspect of your field. And again, every field we've touched, whether it's natural grass or synthetic, we had a hand into the base work. I understand that the first part was for the site work. If our firm's awarded this section of it, we'll have people down here if they need be. I don't know who even did it, but before they get finished, we'll be down checking, or if they want us to double check and see the proof rolls and the planarity of the field. If they need anything done, we're gonna be there to help them, because again, you've gotta get the sub base correct, or you're really throwing your money away. So that's real critical. So, not to drop names, this is a design built at University of Kentucky, their practice facility. We had 4 different types of synthetic. That was a USGA grass field, and we had over 2 or 3 miles of drainage pipe in that particular project. And it was a very successful project for them and us. So that's sort of where we would start your all's field. Once the site work is finished and the dirt's out of there in the curb, we would start this process right here. Go ahead, the next one. Not to bore you with all this, but one critical thing with all these fields is safety. While nothing's 100% safe, we want our fields to perform well. We want to build them with a planarity. There's not a lot of undulations in the fields. You want to get that planarity right. With synthetic turf field or grass fields, you've all probably heard of what a GMAX test that's sort of the big word. And it's really, it's important, but for years everybody built grass fields. Nobody cared about how far somebody fell and hit the ground, and they splattered back up. But that was the main test for synthetic. And I equate it in simple terms like throwing a ball against how your body feels. And most of that's from a wide receiver or somebody falling down and hitting. We've now started doing some testing where rotation of your foot, force reduction, vertical deformation, and that's how your foot, how the ball, your fatigue. Some of these fields, especially with the synthetic turf fields, you think about it, if you build 10 of them, they should all be the same. And that's part of the problem with the NFL today. You've heard some complaints. There's really nothing wrong with the grass. It's how they're built. They're not built by the same people. If you had 10 fields built by the same company, they should all perform similar. So these are other testing measures: infiltration, ball rebound, and all these things are important and critical in making sure your field is performing, and the players, it's not too soft where they get, cramps or fatigue, or they get tissue damage, and it's not so hard where you start, potentially getting the upper leg extremity. So this is just sort of our protocol on safety and performance on these synthetic turf fields. Part of our assurance to make sure your field is playing right is, you can keep going. There's really about 4 sections. Besides the clay subbase, making sure that is firm at a 90% proctor, so it doesn't settle on you. Especially in this situation where you've got, I understand it's in a flood zone. And then you've got your drainage, your curb, you've got your capstone, which is, it's gonna be a coarser stone, and then you've got a fine capstone that goes on top, and that gives us that planarity. All our stones, every field we've ever done, if we use the same quarry, I'm sure it'll be Hinkle here, but even we use our stone, we'll still test that stone. If we do 10 fields, we'll still send that stone off on the 11th field and the 12th field to make sure that bridges and it percolates correctly, and because the 2 stones have to bridge with each other. If you don't, you'll get. So that's our final capstone that you'll see. And then we do what we call a triple check. We'll actually survey it and use on a 25-foot grid. I don't know if that's in the spec or not, but we usually have somebody check that for us. And then we'll string line it, and then we'll have our crews will come down and we'll put some straight edges. I'm sure you're familiar with straight edging. And we'll go about every yard line, and we'll just go up the arc to make sure that there's no little fine undulations. This is really important. I can't stress how important this process is right here. Takes about a day to do it, but it helps avoid these white lines where you probably see them on fields where they start rolling up and down. You don't see that until after you get the grass down. So that's what we call our triple check. We do go 3 stages of that, so go ahead, Chris. Next thing we'll do on is we'll check the infiltration. That's just a little illustration. I think next picture we'll either take some of our water cannons and we'll flood the field, or hopefully we'll get a heavy rain. But we want to make sure that stone is the water's percolating through the stone. Real quickly, sort of apology. You got the, just briefly touch on this because there's been a lot of issues with the NFL about slip film and monofilament. Have y'all heard anything? Okay. The reason slip film is becoming so, the names, that's all they've had in there. There's some people that are pushing monofilament. There's nothing wrong with monofilament, but most of these NFL teams, for example, the one I just showed you, the Saints, they get a new field every year. Every single year they get a new field. They rip it out and get a new one. They use it about 15 times. Most pro teams are using their field 3 times, and that's it. So they're using it for other things, but it's the same pellet, it's just the way it's made. And for your all's use, or even for multi-use, the slip film products have proven that they hold up. And you'll get for multi-use. If you like monofilament, we've got great monofilaments. I'm not here to push you one other, but 99% of the fields are slip film. There's nothing wrong with them. We use a company, Tenkata. It's the #1 fiber company in the world and in the United States. James, I just took a tour down there 2 weeks ago. Go ahead, I think another, go to the next shot, please. We were approached years ago to, I don't know if you've heard of Shaw, but Shaw has a company, Warren Buffett owns it. I'm not sure he knows he has an athletic field department, but if he did, but we stuck with Tenkata because it is the best yard in America. There's no question. This is a field that I was asked to view last year. Been in there less than 6 years, and you already had fiber failing. This is very unusual, but it does happen. And go to the next slide, Chris. And that's why we stuck, and I'm not going to say what they said in Shaw, I'm not saying, but we've used Tenkata for 15 years, and it's a great product. And I would encourage you, no matter, because they sell to other people, that's the yarn I would tell you to use. It's a great yarn. But again, that field was in its 6th year, and they had to replace it. Every time it rained, the fibers will wash it up on the track. One quick thing is we have what we call an end of life. I know that's sort of push it down the road a little bit. We now have equipment when the field is ready for, you're ready for a new field, 10, 12 years, 13 years from now, we're able to extract the infill out of the field and reuse that. So one, it doesn't go into the landfills, and 2, it saves you money. There's nothing wrong with that rubber or the sand. And we just finished my high school this past year. One thing I'll tell you, and you've got a good architect here or engineer overseeing this, make sure your infill levels are correct. We've seen schools that we've taken up, and if you shorted a 1/4 inch of rubber infill, there's $20,000, and it's real easy to do. So make sure you get proper infill heights for a lot of reasons, for performance. Go ahead, Chris. That's just another one of our methods to get the rubber out. This machine we got overseas that actually takes the turf up and kicks out the infill, re-rolls up, and then it puts it in nice little rolls like that, and we're ready to go. We can typically take one up in 2 days. So, I went through that as quick as I could, 'cause I know you guys and girls have been here a long time, so is there any questions or anything that you haven't asked or curious about our firm, or what, or questions you have about the fields in general?
Pads.
Did I bring a pad with me? I don't,
I don't think so.
it appears to be on the very bottom. Go ahead, if I can answer your question, I'm sure.
What kind of pads do you have? There's a pad in there, right?
There's probably one, yeah, that is, we use 2 different types of pads. We use the Brock and the Smith's Foam. They're both great products. They're the 2 leading pad companies in the country. There's other pads out there. Takata makes a pad, but, we don't prefer using it. We just don't think it's a very good pad. But the
So
Brock
what's the difference between the two?
the Brock and the,
Yeah.
how they're made, cost. Brock, I love Brock, but they're expensive. We just probably, Chris could answer this, how many, probably if we did 80% of, no, we use the Smith's Foam.
We use the Smith's Foam mainly. It's cost effective. It's a recycled product. You know, it also, it does well with the drainage. We've taken a lot of fields where the base quit draining. You put drain channels in that, and it can help supplement your drainage. The Brock also has a drain pad component to it. It's a first use product, styrofoam, but it can be recycled too at the end of its life, even though it's new in the beginning. It's more expensive. It just kind of depends on what you want out of them. They both have multi-year warranties. They'll last through both of them will get you probably into your 3rd top before the warranty expires. So the pad expense is, you know, you're looking at probably 3 fields before you replace the pad. So it's an initial expense, but it does last longer than.
Between the two, like the Brock, how long would it last versus the other one?
They both basically give you a warranty around 20 to 25 years.
Okay.
We have had Brock pad, the longest one that we installed was put in 2011 at Dunbar in Fayette County. We just we put one a couple years ago. We G-Max all of them. So that field from 2011 with the pad we put in new at Lafayette, they G-Max the same. So in 11 years, the pad's the same. Haven't seen any measurable, you know, they're within about 8 points of each other. So no big decline yet. You know, they both, I think, one I wanna say is, they're both in that 20 to 23 year, I think, warranty period. So,
Do you do color fields?
Oh, yeah. I don't think we've done it yet, but we do. It's not a problem. It's just a matter of changing the color.
We're not Tennessee orange,
With that song.
we're orange.
Do you get a price for the proposal?
I think they have price, yes. Usually, most colors for most manufacturers are what they call stock color. They can blend a color. It's costly, but you can have your own blended colors if you want.
But that's usually just a color change, right?
What's that?
That's usually just a running color change for your plastic manufacturer. So they can extrude green and then put the orange color sprayed in behind it and do a running.
They run. We were just down at the whole process they do. They blend it, and if you wanted a specific color, they would get a Pantone color from you. They would MAC test it.
Was it your testing
And
at the bottom?
you all put that together. You may wanna help them with it if you can.
At the very bottom?
Back to your pad question real quick. Are you leaning towards pad or just asking? Cause pads are great. And you don't necessarily, if it's worried about G-Max and that type of thing, we could go with a 2 1/4 pile height. With enough rubber and sand. Our G-Maxes are always stay under 150 through the life of so it's a costly thing, and you can always come back and do a pad later. on your second go around, but I don't know if that's something that you're leaning towards.
Well, we want safe, we want the best safe field we can afford.
Right, we all do.
Yeah.
And so a pad, just for example, a good pad's gonna run somewhere around $1 to $1.50 a square foot if you get a good pad. There's some less expensive pads out there, but like I said, if that's something in your budgets, we like pads. I would stick with those two pads, one of those two pads.
We're definitely on the pad,
You're going with pad?
yes.
One thing Pat will do too is towards the end of life of the field where if you're, you know, you can get another year, possibly two, with a pad underneath of it. Cause without the pad, you're relying on the sand rubber mix, you know, for infill, and it will be carried off by your students. It will diminish your infill.
I didn't put did he ask for a pad in
And the
it?
pad will,
I don't think there was
no.
anything, any spec on the pad.
This is sort of new, well, did you have a pad in the spec? I didn't.
Well, that was just kind of the baseline.
Okay, I got you. But you can still have a safe field, if you can do the pad, great, if you can't, you can still make that field safe. Some of the fields that are all mostly predominantly sand, I would say definitely go with the pad. But that's entirely your all's preference.
I think padding's a must.
Yeah, cause I played on the old AstroTurf down in old Louisville's field where we used to play, and I hit the ground hard and tore my arm up, so.
So how much does padding add to your final cost?
Depending on the type of pad, even within the pad system, I'm sorry,
I'm gonna say we would want the top of the line padding.
I'm sorry,
We want top of the line padding.
So,
that'd be the
Right.
you're gonna spend,
We're 60.
how many square, I don't have any square feet.
70,000.
69,980, so easy math, or
There's 70,000 square feet.
69,980.
So for the top of the line padding, you're, let's say around $105,000.
Thank you.
I know we're under the board stuff, but don't hold us totally, cause
I won't.
we gotta go back and.
That's a nice guesstimate.
Yeah. Cause some of the pads are vertical, and some are vertical and horizontal, thicker. And Chris knows these, but some of them are a heavier, thicker pad, trying to get more water off. You've already got field drainage, so you probably get away with like the 20 versus the 20,
So Brock makes the Viet, they make two different systems.
Power-
One's a drain through and one's designed to help drain off, like if you put it on, you can put it on asphalt, it would drain. You know, what we wanna do is sit down and talk about what you're trying to do with it, look at the design of the drainage and talk about that. And then, you know, finalize the pad preferences. You know, there's a couple schools of thought, we could go through that.
a lot of the Fayette County schools, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of them went to the pad for safety, but when those fields were built back in 2000, no one really checked the percolation rates with those stones, and they got so hard and so many fines, they packed up. So some of these pads eliminated, they were able to do vertical and horizontal, so we were able to eliminate digging the whole field up and putting new drains in. So, I don't know how that affects with, I know there's drainage already specified in this, so there's multiple options. Since you're building the field new, there's multiple options with these pads, but again, if it was us, that's the only two we would put in.
So how are those put together? Is it sheets or are they puzzle
Sheets.
pieces?
They're 4x4x8 sheets, and they're just snapped together.
They're puzzle pieces.
Okay.
And they typically have to be put down as you put your turf, cause they do expand a little bit. And I can't push one over the other, I wish I could tell you one's better than the other. When we install, we like probably I would say the Smith's foam, just the way it snaps in. But one of my good friends is this head salesman at Brock, so I would never ask him, but I like them both. I can't say, it's like my two daughters, I can't pick one over the other. When price comes into it, I would probably go with the Smith's foam, cause it's done great.
I saw you all did UK's field. When did you do that?
That was the first, the football field,
Yeah.
that was in 2000, 17 or 18. We didn't do this last go around. But that was, we designed it at that time to where there was a USGA field, sand field, like the practice field is that we did. And so if they ever decide to go back to grass, and they may do that soon, we'll be able to take that back out, with this field and go back to grass. But that was done,
Also, we could reverse this if we really wanted to, and go back to natural grass.
you could, theirs will be a little easier, because we kept the sand down on their field, we just took a little bit of the sand out of there. Yours, you could do it, you'd have to take the capstone out.
Yeah, you could, what you do is you just replace the stone
Yeah.
with like sand.
Yeah.
Be kind of a conversion of they call it a sand cap. We've done those at UK, Louisville, other places. So yeah, you could keep the base and all the drainage and have a really great draining natural field at some point.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, if the school district ever decided
Right.
they wanted to revert back.
Yes, and that's kind of, we do a lot of that, you know, fixing fields, you know, cause we do all the base work and do all that, you know, that's the whole process of switching fields back and forth and designing for that stuff and how we install.
And that could
it. We
happen
can make that
one
happen.
day. I mean, there's been, and
Yeah, cause not all is gonna be on this board, and they might decide they wanna go back, so giving them that
you
option.
know, we have,
would be good.
was it Randy Reese was here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah, oh, but he actually coached me, well, I was on the all-star team, I didn't really play, but he was here, and we actually sold him the irrigation parts and helped him put the irrigation in, has to be 20 years ago, I don't know. And,
Longer than that.
Longer than that.
yeah, and but the good thing was, is like, I was trying to hire him, and this guy said, why don't you come help us, y'all did a pretty good job. I think we trenched it for them, and they bought the parts, but it was a fun project. And it goes back to that community thing again, and we're just big on it. I wanna drop this is what we call our iron turf, it's a non-woven. It is, without question, the top of the line. It's expensive, but it is non-dimensional, and it stands up right out of the box. And it's, you're talking about having the best out there, that's almost a 60-ounce product. And, it's a what they call a woven, well, most of these are, that is stitched into the backing. So, it's a very stable turf. Not many people have that. It's the latest and the greatest of the turfs. Luckily, Tennecotta makes that, and we were down. I've actually done some, I think, a batting cage or two with it, but nothing
We've done
big with it.
softball pitching areas.
What did that add to the?
About another $1. It's expensive.
And that
Before I
was
forget to
it.
tell you though, I
Another
checked with our,
70?
what's that?
Another 70,000?
I checked with our folks at Tennecotta. Typically, there's 8-year manufacturers. If you decide to use this, and it's not a catch-all, but they're going to extend their manufacture to 10-year. Whether you use this product or the other one.
And they can do this product, they'll have no problem doing color change to orange,
No.
and, is there any upcharge on the orange?
Oh, yeah. It's
Really?
about, what, you've checked, haven't you?
Being this is the only orange field ever, you're not gonna help us out on price?
We can go back to the manufacturer, but I don't have any control of that, but typically colors are at, 15 cents a square foot.
Orange is the most expensive color to make.
I
From
didn't
a
know
chemical
that.
standpoint, it's the most difficult, most expensive one. But I mean, that's already reflected in our pricing, it's already
Yeah.
there.
Some of it may tell you it's not extra cost, but it's in the price, so.
Yeah, and I mean, and it'll be a custom batch, I mean, you know, for
We
you.
even take you down, let you watch them make it. One quick thing before I forget. I know it sounds like sales game, but it's not. This is a field that we put in 2011. This is another product that's put in the same year. The only reason this was taken up is because they didn't do the maintenance. They've been selling these with no maintenance, but when I say that the areas where the high traffic areas where they were kicking, soccer, they didn't add extra infill in there, and we always provide an extra bag or two, and we come by yearly or every time to check your fields. they had holes in this field. But these are, this is two different types of turf products, both 11 years apart, and that's the difference. They could have got another 5 years out of the other one if they had just maintained it.
So this is before and after?
So no,
Both of them are after.
both of them were installed in 2011, were taken up in 23. The product on the closest to me is the Tenkati yarn product. The other one is not a Tenkati product, it's somebody else's. So those were, both in the central Kentucky area, same age.
And I'm showing you for two reasons. One, how much we believe in the Takata products, but two, regardless who you go with, make sure, that's what we like to come, we just went around to a couple of our schools in Lexington, make sure that your coaches and whoever's in charge of the field, or, because, again, we've just been taught, there's no maintenance, there is maintenance, there's certain things that you don't wanna do on the fields, but the areas where you're playing a lot, or kicking, soccer, make sure you, once a week or every 2 weeks, go back out there and take some rubber and sand and fill those areas in. And that field lasts you 10, 12 years, easily.
And what about it, as a groomer and included?
It's included,
Yeah, it's included. And I wanna say something too.
Is it a pull behind or push?
It's a pull behind, behind like a golf cart or a utility vehicle. To speak about the maintenance and all that, this is an ongoing product. You hope it to last 10 to 12 years like we did.
Yeah.
We're here in 25 minutes. We've been down here several times. Doug's been here before. I don't mind. I've been doing it. If there's questions about the field, we'll drive over and talk to those people. Meet with maintenance, meet with coaches if they have questions. We are here and we are available.
Will you all train them to
Absolutely.
properly do it?
Anytime you want.
Absolutely. And I will come back and retrain people. And if there's questions, we love to talk about maintenance on fields because it's, it makes a difference. And we want the product to be good for you all.
Especially
for the
if we're gonna have
athletes.
an orange field, we gotta have it looking good.
I think it's gonna be outstanding. I think it's just gonna pop. I mean, we did Georgetown College years ago and they thought about going orange, they didn't, but I think I can tell you there's some I heard there's a light blue field or a aqua blue somewhere. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's sort of a yuck, but I think this will look fantastic out there.
Do you have any renderings to show us?
Well, you know what, I thought, I had the original one. I know I put them in there, but this is not the original, this is the one we started back in October. So please, I think you all changed the logos and everything, so don't, so don't hold us to that,
Yeah.
to that.
But yeah, we can certainly get those.
So, I mean, like, the Hustling Hound has an orange jersey.
Right.
And a black outline. The orange would kind of fade, it kind of blends in just how it's dog called. Is there any way to make it pop? Like putting white around,
Yeah.
around
Yeah,
it?
you definitely, you wanna put some type of border around it.
Okay.
To get it to, and those are all things that, but I will tell you this, and this project is fast tracked. So one of the big things, no matter who you work with, is getting the design work done quickly and getting, because orange has to be custom made in this quantity for anybody. It's just, Tenkata is the largest manufacturer of yarns, and they do sell to all the other people, a lot of the other people you're talking to. It just, that design process is intensive and making sure that you all get what you want.
And I'll give you a
Going
perfect,
through each
I'm gonna give you a perfect example, and we finished Belfry's a couple of years, great people. They coach, Smith said, hey, I don't want anything changed. This is exactly what's here, don't switch anything, it's okay. And so we brought the rendering out from the sign off, and he said, can you make the end zone letters just a little bit bigger? I said, Coach, actually, I already did it. You just couldn't tell, they went from 12 to 15. 2 months later, we were still talking, and it still was a red and white, but they went from a 6-inch to a 4-inch to a 6-inch to a 12-inch border. Doesn't sound like a lot, but the manufacturers won't start until, they just won't do it. That's what holds up. Last thing I'm gonna leave you with is, all our people are in with this. I mean, we have never, ever had a field failure. We've never had a field that if something needed to be done or happened, we didn't take care of it. Even if it was, we felt like, well, that wasn't part of the deal, we took care of it. And I can honestly tell you, I don't think there's any other firm. Our model again is, you know, we do X amount of fields a year, and that's it. We're not trying to do 50, 60 fields a year. Because you can't maintain it. We wanna be there for the whole process and be a part of it. We wanna be a part of the community. And we got fields in Indiana, in Tennessee, we're the same way. We still go down and we take care of them. We just don't chase those fields.
Yeah.
You know, so if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. If we need to go back and firm up things, if you're interested, you know, on these pad or whatever that you all talk, we'd be glad to do it. Do you have any questions? I know you're all tired. Any questions at all? You got anything you would say, anybody? Okay.
We'd like this done by August first.
We can do it.
What's the time frame between green and orange?
As far as the turf itself?
Yeah,
I just-
manufacturing.
I was down there last week.
Right.
How long it takes?
Yeah, I mean, like, the first thing would be, if you wanna do orange, would be literally the day you sign a contract is, we want orange turf, we need to get that order placed and get that going. It's about 2 to 3 weeks to get just the fiber made and get it.
Well, I mean, I work for a plastics manufacturer, so I understand running color changes, so to do that product, I'm sure that they don't have a specific machine designed just to run orange.
Right.
It probably runs different colors, and you have to put that into the scheduling
Right.
to run
But
all.
we've already talked to them about that. They realize this is happening and what your all time frame is.
Okay.
So we've already talked to them
Yeah,
about this.
we went down last week, not just for that, but it was brought up. Again, I hate picking out paint with my wife because it's just, I mean, it's so, there's 18,000 whites or yellows or reds, but if you want a certain, that'll be a big holdup, is picking out a Pantone that you like and then making it and you checking it, but then making it orange is not a problem. With that,
That orange right there. We're not Tennessee orange.
Oh, no.
do you have,
Don't
do you have a
Tennessee.
Pantone color? Cause I can set it off. I'll set it off and they can tell me. Are you interested in the iron turf just for fun or not necessarily?
I like
Yeah.
It's a great product. But anyway, I'm gonna let you all go, cause I know it's late and we'll put some numbers together if that's what you like for us to do and get back, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening. Looks like you got a couple more, but we're gonna try to.
I wouldn't worry about I know somebody made a comment about the fading. That's all the UV stabilizing. And it's like painting a car. I mean, you know, it's gonna fade gradually, but it's not gonna turn to, red's not gonna turn to pink. That's the problem. So, anyway, thank you all.
Thank you.
Is this mine? No, it's not. Thank you. You want us in? Thank you. What's your name? Jennifer. Jennifer Wilson?
Yeah.
My, best friend, that's what his wife owns the Wilson's Nursery in Frankfurt. She's Jennifer
And
Wilson.
she's Jennifer.
Yeah. All right, thank you again.
Thanks.
Feel good, Rick?
Yep, we're ready.
Who was next? I didn't think right way down.
Filter slash.
Who's next?
And then like, go with, you know what I mean? Like everybody else, I like.
Hello. Good, how y'all doing? Good. How y'all doing?
How you doing?
Everybody wore out?
We're getting there.
Okay. I don't know how informal, how formal.
Informal's perfectly fine.
Floor is yours.
I'll just give you all some nice literature. I'm not gonna put you all to sleep, hopefully. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. And who gets the bid proposal? You do?
And the outlets round.
on, and everything's here. Alternates are here. There's the number where my hand is on. But y'all see that? My name's Todd Shadowin. I'm a sprint turf. We looked at your field. We had seen your specs, that the Artec, everything. We've done our bid to meet those specs. We've been in business since about 2002. We're a USA company, that's all in there. We're 100% manufactured here in the United States. We have about 27 install crews and custom build each field. Fortunately, we haven't had any that we know of. Field failures, we've had a lot of fields in spinning ground, up to 12, 14, 15 years. We don't recommend that. Of course, we'd like to see you replace your field if that happens. It depends a lot on how you all take care of your field. Will help with the longevity of your field. And that's not over maintenance, but that's just basic maintenance. In your bid package, I do have Sprint Care in there as alternate. Also, things in there. We also did another all-in-one turf cleaner, gas sweeper, and everything with that. That's that's alternate. We did the 48 ounce, 22 ounce. I'm just kind of going about what we did. We did DFE. That's our dual fiber extreme. Base oil is 330 microns on the monofilament, 120 on the slip film. What's kind of really important about that, what that means, well, that'll give you a lot less flyouts. It gives you durability, playability, and safety for your athletes. You all are also doing a complete orange field, which that should not be a problem. You are gonna have some UV. I would suggest all your spoils or all your extra turf, in case you ever have to do any repair, leave some of that out in the sun, so it'll all away at the same time. Now, we put in about 30-some fields in the state of Kentucky the last 3 years. That's in there's a full listing of that in that group. Done baseball, softball, infields, all sports fields. We GC'd them, we subbed on them, and we've done just turf on the side, turf replacements. So, I'm open to any questions. I'm not gonna dog and pony show you all a lot, it's just not my style. We kinda like, we can do custom build, we will only do about 300 builds a year. That's about it. And we'll do about 26 million square feet. And we, like I said, we build each field as it comes in, so it's custom built.
You'll have regard to pad. What types of safety pads do you?
We have them all.
Are they,
What do you recommend?
On the shock pad,
Yes.
I would go at least 20 mil and go. It depends on how much you want to spend and what type of warranty. Because you want to look at, make sure you get at least a 24, 26-year warranty, so you get two on that. We didn't do a pad. I don't think.
I mean, I just didn't know what that add-on would be, how much that would cost.
Okay, I can tell you that real quick. Depends on, you can expect between 90 cents to about $1.30, $1.35.
So you
square
most
foot?
expensive one is 135?
Per square foot?
Per foot, yes.
Per foot.
So you're looking at 70,000 square feet. You do 70,000 times 90 cents or 95 cents. You're looking at probably an implast at that low, but it's actually a very good turf and it's drainage. I mean, a very good shock pad drainage and everything to it. They're manufactured out of Houston. We go with Brock. We go with all other 4 companies. Pads are actually really good. And it hasn't been, there's not a scientific paper or anything out there, but pads will actually help extend the life of your turf a little bit.
We definitely want pad,
Okay,
yeah, I mean, that's
all right.
for safety reasons and.
How does your padding go down? Is it like puzzle pieces or is it sheets?
Depends on which, no, it depends on which pads you choose. We have some that comes in a roll, it rolls out, that's in play. Brock and, the other three, they'll come in layers, kind of almost like a puzzle. You'll put them down, you wanna go in, you'll do them in steps. I say steps and, you know, quadrants.
You'll put it down as you're putting out the turf.
Correct. But you don't get your pad down and have a hard thunderstorm.
Do what now?
You don't wanna get your pad partially installed. And when we're doing the summer and have a big windstorm, thunderstorm come through, you'll have padding all over your bed.
So the rolled out padding would probably be better.
Not necessarily,
Not
but
necessarily.
yeah. But it roll out will work just as good, but you can put down either one, but what I'm saying is you'll leave it in bundles, protect it, you'll put it down as you do your turf. That's how our install first do.
Now, on page 4 and 5, you've got the different turfs,
Yes, ma'am.
so,
If you'll look on page 5, the one we proposed is Ultra DFE Extreme.
okay,
That's one of our top most durable turfs, that's the one we have in the bid.
okay.
That's the one where I said it's 330 microns.
Mhm.
120, that's some of the toughest in the industry. You know, that's where it's webbed, when it's folded over. When I talk about fly out, if you used to on TV, you'll see some of the rubber and crumb rubber and sand flying up. This help keeps it in your field. Pretty much eliminates that.
So,
No,
so is the Ultra Blade, is that the best?
Ultralade would probably be second, well, it's close.
I meant the.
Predator would be
Predator's
the top, yeah.
How much more is the Predator?
For a field that size, probably about 30,000. But, yeah, we're going into a whole different conversation. If you're gonna do Predator for 30,000, I know this, I'm just gonna tell you, bump it up to 50 and ask for a 10-year warranty.
10-year warranty.
Because that's what you're gonna do. I mean, if you're gonna spend another 30, well, maybe 30, 35, but if you're gonna spend that much more, bump it up to 50, 22 and ask for a 10-year warranty. That's what I would do.
All right, and how much extra would a pad for that field cost if we wanted to?
Will be, 70 times
About
$70,000.
That's 70?
70 to, put it at 68 to about 83.
Okay. So this first, amount that you gave us on the paper we passed around,
Just
that's just for the turf?
first drainage and everything.
Okay,
But
okay.
that's without the pad.
That's what I was at.
And if we did upgrades, we could just add those to the.
Well, that's all, yes, but that's, if you're gonna upgrade, if you decide to go upgrades,
Mhm.
negotiate all that.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. That's what I would do. I mean, that's where, with whoever you deal with, just negotiate. I mean, you're asking my advice, I'm just being honest.
With asking your advice, can you give us a little background of you, what you know about sports?
Well, I don't know that much about sports, but I've been involved with sports probably since I was 9 years old, or 8 years old. So I've been very fortunate to get to, be in this state, grew up in this state. My dad was principal, my uncle was longtime superintendent, and retired down at Marshall County. So I've been around the school systems. I was lucky enough to get to go to the University of Kentucky, and I was a 4-year letterman on football team. Was there 5 years and got a very good education there, and got provided a lot of opportunity. And luckily got to spend, 2 summers and winters down here, got to work at Cherry Valley and Lake Park. And it was a very, very, you tell the smile on my face, it was a very great experience. Met wonderful people and, ate a bunch of good food down here. So, I mean,
How long has, Turf Print been in business?
this company's been in business since 2002.
Okay.
And they went ahead and bought some plants. They developed it, Justin and them bought it in 2007. Very smart, they put a bunch of money, we had plants in Dayville, Spruce, and about Chatsworth, which is about 65 miles south of Chattanooga. They just moved it up. They sunk a lot of their profits back into manufacturing. So kept upgrading everything, which that was pretty smart on their part. ProPlate, which is the largest playground company in the United States, they bought part of us in November, left us alone, but those guys bought the company in 2007 by reinvesting the company. They made a very good life. But they loved Justin, they were chemical engineers, and they're pretty smart. I don't know why, this doesn't really affect, but it does affect your field goals, the quality. They're very smart at going out and procuring inventory of high quality and keeping everything here in the United States. And that helps give us some price advantages. And we maintain, which I like, we maintain testing every day of all our products in plant. And that's, if you want to come to our plant, it's pretty cool to see. Well, it's not that cool to see, but it's pretty,
Interesting.
yeah, it is. But it also, when you're out here talking about it, gives you a little bit of peace of mind. I'm not sitting here telling you something, but I know in the back end, it's actually happening. So it's pretty nice.
You guys got any questions?
But, I mean, I feel like I've done a lot, but I know y'all been here a long time, and I'm,
Yeah.
No, you gave us information.
Yeah.
Can we see your field real quick?
Yeah.
See, you got a sample.
well, you don't have it.
And this
Is that the
Predator,
No, this is the,
the one you recommended?
well, this is what that's what you
Yeah.
expect out.
And it's all stitched.
We do all our backing, everything. It's pretty unique to see all of the threads and everything. And we have no failures with that. And another thing, we seam everything. We seam it, we do gluing, but we do it at the beginning, for your numbers and everything. These guys have all kinds of experience. We do mostly straight line seaming. So that helps you later on down the road when you get 10, 12 years. But you do this build right, you take care of it. Even this product, you're looking at 12, 14 years.
That's the key right there, taking care of it.
Well, here's the cool thing about that. You can take care of it, but you just gotta be consistent in it. When you're using it, you'll do it every other week or something. Spend 2 hours. It'll be unbelievable. Now you can not do it, it'll look great for 7 or 8 years. Then all of a sudden that 7, 8 years gets in it.
How much maintenance do you do during the summer? Just
Well, if you're not using it, now listen to me here and think common sense wise. Don't do a lot. Just clean it, because every time if you start doing it once a week, even when you're not using it, you're still hitting all those fibers. So if you're not using it, just kind of let it, just hit it once a month. You don't need to do it every week. But during the season when you're going in it pretty good, Friday morning, something for your Friday night, play on it all week, fluff it up on Friday morning. That would be, because if you overdo it, you're just gonna stress your fibers more. But another thing is like the maintenance, one good about that, they come in, they kind of decompact, because you're gonna have all that layer, it's gonna get packed in. You can do it, we got special machines that come in and unpack that. Spending about 14 or 15,000 on a maintenance program, doing it once a year. What you'll do after 8 years, you'll go ahead and renew it. You know, you're gonna increase your life by 2 or 3 years. So if you look at your numbers and factor that in, you spend 15, 20,000 on maintenance, you're gonna get it back.
You know, one thing that we've kind of seen, if we do the hustle and handle, it's got an orange shirt on it, can we outline the whole thing in white to make it pop?
Yeah. You do, yeah.
Okay.
Just, it'll probably take about an extra 9 minutes, well, that's a pretty good thing. They take an extra 3-4 hours to put it in. What they'll do, once they do that, they get down on their hands and knees. These people, they do it a lot, they take a lot of pride in it. That's another thing is, they don't get bonus on how quick they put a field in. They get paid, but they don't get bonus until you all do a sign-on. You know, you do a rating. And that's how our crews get bonus. So we kind of put a little bit of accountability in there on not being, you know, it's just, I mean, that's just how it is. And that gives them more incentive to do the right thing. So.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Y'all know how to get a hold of me?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can keep that if you wanted.
Okay.
Well, any other?
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for your time. I feel like
Thank you for your presentation.
I feel like I didn't do a dog and pony show, but,
That's okay, you gave us the facts, you gave us what we wanted to know.
yes, sir. And, if y'all have any questions or something, feel free to give me a call.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day and good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Be safe.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
No, sir.
Well,
Alrighty, y'all good? You need the restroom, everybody
we're good.
We're good for one.
Let's get this knocked out as well.
We still got to do the agenda. So what is the general consensus?
good? Alright, come on in. Good.
Number 2, the number 1. And 3. 2 of them.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry, I had to change up the schedule a little bit on my end. Okay,
Yeah.
where should,
You have the floor.
okay, awesome,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, wasn't good.
How we doing?
Hi.
Doing great,
How you doing?
great to see ya.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Louis. JC Field with Field Turf. Yep, great to see you again.
Hi, JC,
Hi.
how are you, sir?
Oh, great to see you. Great to see you. Thanks for taking the time. That's, and obviously adjusting the schedule as well. Things obviously are, yeah, that's, obviously I wanted to provide some information. Did you all receive, the proposal? Cause I do have copies of it in case you need it right
I
now.
don't have a copy.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
please.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, sorry, this one got bent up a little bit. Does everyone need one, or?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
I'll take that one on that school.
I mean, I got some pretty ones for you too. Got it. There you go. Awesome. And I do have a lot of fun information as well here. Where's we go? So obviously, this isn't a situation to give a big, huge presentation or anything like that, but obviously would like to break down Field Turf as a company, would like to, provide that educational aspect of things. Obviously, I have some samples here as well. Would like to educate specifically on obviously the safety side more than anything and how Field Turf is different. especially with what we've provided, more than anything. But having said that, I guess I know your time is valuable. I know it's late. I'm sure others are getting hungry for sure. So obviously want to kind of, I guess, if anything, just start off by asking. You've listened to 4 different turf companies. Obviously, I want to put my best foot forward and break down exactly what Field Turf provides and how we're different. But let me ask you, from what you've heard, or just in general, I guess, what's most important to you? You know, when it comes to the field, what have you felt like?
The shot pad.
Okay.
We want
Alright.
a good turf, we want a good pad, we want a good price.
Okay. Hey, you want it all, don't you?
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, well, let me ask you. So Bruce, Angela, you brought up pad, all right, and safety, right?
Yeah.
Why do you need a pad for safety?
Just for peace of mind
Okay.
and just, we wanna make sure that we only have to do this once for 25 to 30 years instead of replacing it every 8 or something like that. So a good pad is gonna extend the life of everything, and you know, we're not gonna get a chance to do this again for another 20 years. So. And we wanna make sure that, you know, our money is well spent.
Bruce will still be here on the board.
Absolutely.
I might still be, just so I can get that special ribbon at the KSBA.
Yeah.
You got a special ribbon, don't you?
Angela, what about yourself? You mentioned pad. Obviously, I know everyone has probably brought up pads, right?
Yes.
And I got a bunch of them here.
That's something that we have been talking about.
Yeah.
As a woman, my concern is the safety of our players,
Absolutely.
and if it helps to make the longevity of the turf last even better.
Sounds good. Well, having said that, I got a lot of stuff to discuss with you then. So how familiar are you with, obviously you talked to 4 companies, how familiar are you with the turf industry, I guess? All of them said that pads add more safety to the field, right?
I guess me and Lou have the most.
Yeah, you all went to.
We have the most because we're talking to you
We've
all.
been talking since we've been on the board about this.
Yep.
And Louis has done a lot of research
Yeah.
about both, so.
Bruce is.
Yeah, and I know I followed up with you as far as
Yeah.
third-party safety data and Dr. Myers information and NFL and like, heck, I have all of that information. But just to give you an idea, just to give you some background as far as field turf is concerned. So, field turf is the industry leader. So it went from old school AstroTurf. Try to find it.
I don't like that anymore.
You know what? None of us do. Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I can't believe that so it's kind of like this.
You get tackled on that once, you never want to see it again.
You got that right. So it's this, right?
It's like a,
Yeah.
it's a
Old
real,
school carpet, right?
Yeah.
I use
The
that.
nylon carpet, it's abrasive, and this was not safe whatsoever. But what would they do? Put one of these underneath it, right? Put one of these pads underneath it.
I don't even think they had a pad under it, I think it's concrete.
They eventually
I think
did.
you're right.
They eventually did.
Yeah.
So it eventually went from just this with concrete, and then what would they do? They'd put a big, huge, thick shock pad underneath it. So what would that do? Well, it make it soft enough as far as G-Max goes, right? Have you guys heard a lot about G-Max?
Yeah.
So, and what is it quote unquote sold as? Well, safety, right? Because you wanna have low
And
G-Max.
drainage.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard plenty as far as drainage is concerned. Yeah. I'm gonna hit you with facts, just to be totally blunt. So it went from this, old school AstroTurf, you put a shock pad to provide safety. Or, you know what, heck, even a paved E-layer. You know what, we make all this stuff. We own 2 shock pad manufacturers. I can sell you the best pad in the industry. We can pave a sweet E-layer underneath your field, and you know what, there will be shock attenuation to it. But, so it went from this, or this, and Field Turf invents the high-piled heavyweight infilled system that's designed to replicate the benefits and performance of natural grass, but with the benefits of synthetic turf. So what did we become? We became the industry leader, and we put patents on anything and everything, whether it's tufts, the distance of the tufts, the amount of infill per square foot that we're able to provide, the fiber technology, anything and everything, we put patents on like crazy. So having said that, we became the industry leader. And if you look in your packets, you see nothing but high profile installs, and we have probably about, I'd say, over 50% market share throughout the country, by far. We've installed 25,000 of these fields. We are the worldwide leader. We are truly vertically integrated to where from start to finish, we make everything. So I know you talked to a couple of companies, and I never name anyone like by name by any means, but at the same time, what are they? A lot of companies, they're distributors, right? And they're distributing someone else's product. So someone else is making the fiber, they're tufting the carpet, and then it's shipped out, and then someone else sells it, they install it. Well, what happens if there's an issue with your field? Who's the warranty with? Is it with the fiber manufacturer? Is it with the turf manufacturer? Or is it with the person or the company that is distributing the product? What if they change? What if they change companies? Who's it with? And honestly, that's my question. I don't even know. But having said that, we want to cover you as much as possible in terms of your investments. So with that, we're vertically integrated to where we make everything from start to finish when it comes to these systems. So we make all of our own fiber. It's in a plant called MET. It's over in Germany. There, what they do is that they actually extrude, apparently they used to extrude fiber for Oral-B toothbrushes back in the day. And honestly, we had an issue with our fiber 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago, that we were outsourcing our fiber from the leading fiber manufacturer in the entire country. Still, they're out there right now, like still buying up companies and trying to sell. We had issues with it. It wasn't UV stable. Well, I know that you want to talk about UV stability. It wasn't UV stable. So what did we do? Well, we went after that fiber manufacturer. There was customers coming after us, for sure. There's litigation on both sides. We stood by all of our fields. But the reason that I mention that is because we all of a sudden took everything in-house, and we're in control of our process from start to finish. But every single turf company, what have they told you? We have the safest product and we have the most durable product. Well, I'm here to prove it to you. So if you take a look at, the spec called out for something specific, and a specific turf. And what did it call out? It called out 50% sand, 50% rubber, right? And did anyone provide a pad with that? Because it wasn't in the specification. Or did they show an alternate for a pad? Credit safety.
Some people did, some people didn't.
As I mentioned, we make this pad right here. We own 2 pad manufacturers. I can provide you a great pad, but this is why I'm going to talk about something totally different. So with that, you take a look at your packet on the left side. And I don't know, did anyone have an opportunity to watch the webinar that I sent you over, that recording?
I didn't get a chance to.
Okay. I highly suggest that you watch it to make an educated decision. Because honestly, with us or without us, we as a company are designed to be, we're not trying to be the best carpet company. We're not at all. We're trying to be the best alternative to natural grass. And that's exactly why we're the industry leader. That's why we have over 160 Division I football fields. Obviously, there's not 160 Division I teams, but obviously they have practice fields. We have 7 NFL stadiums. We're actually replacing a competitor's product right now for the Cincinnati Bengals. What did the Cincinnati Bengals do? They dug into it deep. Like, I gotta tip the cap to them. They literally set up plots of turf underneath their stadium from all the different manufacturers, pad, no pad, all of that. And then they have this big, huge robot that's called the Beast. And what do they track? Well, they track numerous things. But when we talk about safety, we're not just talking about field hardness and softness that this provides. Because you can have too soft of a field, you can have too hard of a field. But when we talk about safety, we're talking about lower body extremity injuries. Knees, ankles, cleat release, traction, and also G-Max as well. So all of our fields will G-Max totally fine. But think about natural grass. What is the safest surface that's out there? I think I just answered that question. A perfect natural grass field, right? That's what the NFL wants to go to. That's what everyone would do. But what's the reason that they don't?
Maintenance.
absolutely. Maintenance, and also the amount of wear and tear that your field's gonna get, but even Paycor, and even Gillette Stadium, because of the soccer, because of Atlanta, obviously, that's indoor where they have a retractable roof, so that's obviously one of the reasons, but Seattle as well. Like, the reason is because of the maintenance side, and that they can't maintain that perfect natural grass field. So with that, think about a natural grass field and a piece of sod, a beautiful sand-based piece of sod, and your cleat going into that natural grass. What is it interacting with? Is that cleat going into the blade of grass? Or is it going into the synthetic earth, right? That's exactly why with field turf, we are very specific with how this infill, the sand and rubber, that's the most expensive thing that goes in your field, reacts with your cleats in terms of traction, in terms of cleat release, in terms of rotational resistance. So with that, this is all Dr. Meyer's information. This is my favorite thing that we have. And watch the webinar. That's all I have to say. Watch the webinar, because I'm going to break down exactly what he breaks down. So originally, Dr. Myers, so he's a professor at Idaho State University. He originally came after us. And he goes, I'm going to compare injury rates. And these are all in-game related injuries. So it's not like in the lab or anything like that. That it's in-game related injuries. And he goes, I'm going to compare injury rates to natural grass versus synthetic turf. Well, who invented it? Field turf did. So he goes, okay, I'm going to look at 3, 5, and 7 year studies when it comes to high school football, boys and girls soccer, men's college football, obviously, and men's and women's college soccer. And with it, I'm going to compare injury rates on those. It turns out the field turf was safer. So he goes, okay, well, hold on. Let me take a second, and with that, I am going to look at what's the biggest variable between all these turf companies. And it's the amount of this. So he broke it into 4 different sections. 1, 0 to 2.9 pounds of infill per square foot. You don't see many turf companies that are like that. There's a couple, but it's always those ones that are saying, hey, we're providing you 50% sand, 50% rubber. Well, how much is that? Is it this? That's 3 pounds right there. So then Dr. Myers went from that, and he went to 3 pounds to 5.9 pounds, 6 pounds to 8.9, and then 9 pounds plus. So this is 6 pounds. And then 9 pounds plus. And that's per square foot. So that just gives you a feel as far as weight, right? What your cleat's interacting with the safety, what you're falling on as well. Absolutely. I haven't felt anything there, Angela. You got that right there. And yes, I do carry bags of sand and rubber with me. But so with that, it's the heavier weight of infill of your synthetic earth with what the cleat is interacting with, the safer the field. And then especially after 8+ years, and that's why field turf has more fields that are in the ground that are 8 years and older than all of our competitors combined. Obviously because of our fiber manufacturing and the proven safety behind it, but mainly because that safety is built into the infill. So where we're not replacing fields because all of a sudden they become unsafe. You put a pad underneath the field, which I told you I can do. I can provide you as many pads as you want, or the thickest pad that you want. But, for example, Patriots Stadium, Gillette Stadium, they thought the same exact thing. Obviously budget isn't a factor for them whatsoever. So they go 2.5-inch surface on our side, right? 2.5-inch surface, and they go, throw a pad underneath there. It's supposed to add safety. You wanna know how long that pad was there? 1 game. Field gets too soft. Think about running on a beach, for example. You're running on a beach.
Can't get no traction.
Absolutely. Or you're running away from the water, right?
Yeah.
And what is it? It's soft, right? It's really, really soft. But what happened to your lower body extremities? They absolutely get thrown out of whack. Like you're gonna be.
I know what game it was that it played once when Brady blew out his knee.
Yeah.
Bet.
Hey, there you go. Well, heck, that was when the helmet hit it, right?
Yeah.
And heck, you know what? We're not going to avoid injuries on synthetic turf, but we want to create the safest surface possible. And so what Dr. Myers found is that as you increase infill per square foot, the safer the field. It's all about how this reacts with this to provide that athletic performance surface. It's not all about this and then throwing a pad underneath it, because then what are you going back to? Going back to these days, except with the shag carpet. And also, what have you heard about? Well, different types of infill, right? I hate to spend this much time talking about everything, but I know you've talked about a lot, so I kind of got to educate as far as everything across the board. So with that, we offered you, so Dr. Meyer's information, he recommends a minimum of 6 pounds of infill per square foot at a 2 1/4 inch product. The safest fields being at above 9 pounds of infill. And that's not field turf fluff. That is published by the American Journal of Sports Medicine. It is a tier 1 journal that is medically and scientifically peer reviewed. I've talked to Dr. Myers many times, and he has literally said, he goes, JC, 10% of research even gets considered to be published by the American Journal of Sports Medicine, and then 10% of the 10% actually does get published. He's had that study, and you mentioned pads. So Dr. Myers actually went back and he looked at, okay, well, if pads provide safety, I really want to dig into that. I don't know, there it is. So on the pad side, what he actually found was, so we went back to all his fields and looked at injury rates of fields with pads underneath them and fields that didn't have pads underneath them. And with that, he actually saw that pads substantially increased lower body extremity injuries. Substantially increased. That's why you come to me and you say, JC, I want the safest system possible. It's a 9.2 pound system. It's exactly what we have throughout the entire NFL. Actually, so Cincinnati Bengals, they're installing a 2.5 inch, 9.2 pound system. University of Louisville, 9.2 pound system. WKU, who's had a field for 11 years and it's still good to go, but you know what, aesthetically they need to replace it just for a little bit of a fresh up. They're going 2.5 inch, 9.2 pound system. Detroit Lions, I mean, I can go on and on across the board. All of those Division I schools that you're looking at right there, over 160, you know, in that packet, the majority of those are 9.2 or 2.5 inch, 9.2 pound systems. Because with all of this information with Dr. Myers, his third-party research, and it's right here. So this is his information when it comes to pads. So Dr. Myers, literally with his third-party studies, shows pads, fields without pads led to 53% less player-to-turf collision injuries, 73% less neck trauma, 39% less shoulder girdle trauma, and 63% lower or less lower leg injuries. And that's with the system without a pad. Now, if they're not providing the correct amount of infill, they're not providing 6 pounds, absolutely, you need a pad. It's to make up for an insufficient turf system, just like old school AstroTurf was.
What's the, which one of these did you recommend with, or comes with this proposal?
Yep, so I showed you 3 options. Really, it's 2. So we'll talk about the differences in those. So we provided you a 6 pound system, because we won't provide less than it. We won't miss it.
That's the price that you provided.
Yep, so that's the base. It's a dual fiber that is on our side. Here's the difference, is that it's a monofilament and a slit film in the same tuft, because that's what the spec called out for. Now, you know, you talk about pile weight and all that stuff. Hey, say it, whether it's 43 ounces or 53, 56 ounces, doesn't matter, because it's per square yard. What you want is that we provide the spacing necessary between the tufts. We have a patent on this. We were founded on a 3/4 inch gauge. That's the distance between the tufts here. So you talk about some of those fields that they try to put this in, right? Minimum of 6 pounds. And what happens when they're fiber heavy and they're either on a 1/2 inch gauge or a 3/4 or a 3/8 inch gauge? What happens? They try to put this into it, doesn't settle down in. Usually they don't even get this into the field. And then as time goes on, that carpet mats over, and then it looks like a rubber pit, right?
You get striping,
The what?
you get striping on the field,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
can see it.
Yeah, and then it looks like a big rubber pit, and it's not dimensionally stable. So that's why with our systems, we're on a 3/4 inch gauge, where this infill settles down into the field, where it reacts with the cleat. Here's my thoughts, is that you don't play on the turf, you play in the turf. That's the difference. You don't play on the turf, you play in the turf. The cleat is going to go into this field. That's what's providing the safety, that's what's providing the torsion, the traction, lower body extremity injuries. It's all about, whether it's us or anybody, providing this per square foot instead of a lightweight system with a pad underneath. And then also, you end up breaking down particle size in these fields. So, and I know I don't have my kind of, I don't want to say weighing this by any means, but I don't have a PowerPoint to show you the actual studies, but obviously that information speaks for itself for sure. So in our system, what we provided is we provided you both 2 1/4 inch systems. So that is a 2-layer system is our base bid. So 2-layer system, it's a base of washed silica sand, and then it's ambient rubber. Everyone else is providing ambient rubber, they're not providing the amount of sand and rubber that we are, I'm guessing. Did anyone even talk about infill weight?
No.
Yeah, not surprising, because it's the most expensive thing that goes in the field. We make our own fiber, it'd be really easy for us just to come in here and provide a fiber heavy carpet and sell it as is. But we don't have fields that last long, and you know what? That, as a company on our side, that's why we're the world leader in synthetic turf. So 2-layer, 6-pound system, ambient rubber. So how ambient rubber is made, not to get too technical, but there is a reason for this. Ambient, the tires put through the grinder, pulled apart, gives you a big particle size. Okay? Somewhat standard, sometimes people provide big, huge fat rubber. That's why everyone's saying 50-50 or 70-30. You're given ratios. All of a sudden, you're getting that 3-pound system. You're getting 3 to 4 pounds. Well, if we're providing 6 pounds on your field, that's what, 80,000 square feet, a little bit less than that? All of a sudden, you're talking about a difference of 2-3 pounds per square foot, or 8.4 compared to 3. I'm talking almost 500,000 pounds of infill per square foot. So, anyway, 6-pound system and a 2 1/4 inch with a dual fiber. Now we showed you options for Vertex Prime and Vertex Core. So those are our elite 3-layer surfaces. So with that, the backing with Prestige Vertex, it's like everybody else's, fully coated, punch hole back. That's where your drainage is coming through. With the elite system, as far as the 3-layer surfaces, it's finger coated. It's field turf only as well. So it's coated, finger coated along the tuft. There's no punch holes in the back of it, to where it actually acts like a coffee filter in between, to where it gives you 40% better drainage than a punch hole system on the field. So these are our elite systems. With a 3-layer surface as well, 3-layer, this is, and you guys have a breakdown in there as far as 2 versus 3-layer. Maybe that might be easier for you. So, 2 versus 3-layer. 2-layer, 6 pounds of infill per square foot, okay? 3-layer, this is a base of washed silica sand. This is a mixture of cryogenic rubber and washed silica sand, and then B-level cryogenic rubber on top. So with that surface, in a 2 1/4 inch product, it provides 8.4 pounds of infill per square foot. What does Dr. Meyer's data show us? Is that as you increase infill, that synthetic earth per square foot, the safer the field. So with this, 2 1/4 inch, 6 pounds, 2 1/4 inch 3-layer, 8.4 pounds. Then you bump that up to a 2 1/2 inch product, 9.2 pounds, the safest in the industry. We don't need to rely on a pad. And also, whenever we talk about lower body.
Talk about not relying on the pad, what is the G-Max reading of this, the 9.2?
Yeah. So it'll be anywhere, it'll stay under ASTM 200. Usually it'll probably be around, I'd say 130, 140, which is exactly like a natural grass field. So anytime that you get under like 100, you're starting to get really, really soft. Too soft, for sure. So there's kind of like that fine line a little bit.
What's the grass field?
Usually around, NFL's gonna be around 130. So it's gonna be right around there. But that's the benefit of that system, is that, you know, you talk about G-Max for safety. That's something that is, it's not a safety test. Yes, it can show you extremes. as far as hardness, absolutely. You can have a field that's too hard, but we don't have fields that are too hard by any means. And that's why that infill is so important. But also you can have a field that's too soft as well.
Your proposal said something about a 18-week lag time on
Orange,
orange.
is it pointless that I'm here?
Well, it's tight, it's tight.
It is, yeah, I know that, I mean, with the amount of and it's not even the amount of projects, like, as I mentioned, we make everything from start to finish. But here's my question, and obviously we showed you a proposal with green, and I know that everyone's on board and really wants orange, I get it. Okay, all right, but regardless of that,
Yeah.
I'm here to educate, whether it's on the safety side, I haven't even talked about the durability side or anything like that. But obviously want to talk about the durability side, and really what you're gonna get just with an orange field. Because we've done, obviously, a ton of colored fields, whether it's Marietta College has one right now that's all navy blue on their soccer field. They have alternating panel gray, that's a custom colored gray on their side. We have, obviously, Boise State. We're actually, we are replacing right now as we speak, Eastern Michigan University that had an all gray field. I think they're going back to normal green in a way. But I want to hear you guys out. What's the reason to go to orange? What is the reason maybe not to go to orange? What are some of your concerns on both sides? Obviously lead time.
Fading.
Yep.
And that's number one concern is fading. To me, it's,
Absolutely.
I think that's a concern because we've heard varying degrees of years that we'll get it.
Yeah. Okay.
And it'll be different.
Would.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
be different,
Absolutely.
and only one in the world.
Is there any chance
There's gotta be an orange field out there.
any chance
Sure.
that 18?
If I find you an orange field, do I get the job?
And you'll never find one. You'll find one when you install it.
I was just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Why would I guess most of the other vendors are saying they can do 10 or 12 weeks. Why is yours 18?
I'm sure we could speed it up a little bit, I'm sure, but that's what I was told. It's probably, that we can turn around a normal field, like, we get a PO and sign shop drawings, we can turn it around in 4 weeks. We have the biggest, we have the biggest manufacturing facility in North America in California.
Yeah, we don't have to do it 4 weeks. We just 18's.
I agree.
August first
I agree.
is.
August 1st is
August
our-
first is job dead.
Yeah, as far as the field ready.
Yeah.
Yep. So I don't think that we'd be able to do orange, from what I'm hearing from my team.
The only thing I'll
Unfortunately.
tell you, I mean, we've talked to other vendors, but I did talk to Coach Rice today, because when I saw the 18 weeks, I was like, it might come up that there's options that you may, if everybody was at 18 weeks, that we'd have to consider green or waiting. And he said, we've got a home game with Frankfurt the first game, then we have 2 away games. He says he can flop Frankfurt and go to Frankfurt for that home game, and then get back-to-back years of Frankfurt here to offset it. If Tobias 3 or 4
That
more
gives
weeks.
3 extra weeks.
Yeah, 4 when you actually get the kickoff, I guess, or, yeah, 4, yeah. So,
I'm not trying to talk you out of doing all orange, because I want you guys to be happy, whether it's with us or anybody else.
Let's see,
Like,
3
I
months,
really do.
3 months from now is 12 weeks, right?
It's 114 days from August 16th to from April 16th to August 1st.
121 days from today. I guess you said it was 16.
Yeah, I figured a week from today.
Put a rush on that, we want it expedited.
Hey, you know, I'll do everything that I can for sure, but this is what you're gonna get with orange. And you know, any color, red, it's gonna fade. It is. Like regardless of color steadfastness, we have incredible color steadfastness in our fibers. That they've been rigorously tested by for sure. And whenever you take a look at all of our fibers, and this isn't Field Turf speaking, and not JC, and that's why I feel very fortunate to work with the company that I do. Because there's no one, number one, who's put in more R&D, but also everything that I talk about, whether it's the safety side with Dr. Myers, it's all third party. It's peer reviewed. It's been published by the American Journal of Sports Medicine. So it's me pretty much just echoing all of that information. Whenever it comes to fiber durability, all of our fibers are third party tested by a company called Labosport. So they used to test everyone in the industry, And you know what, we started blowing them all away, to where they go, well, this is making the sales process pretty easy for field turf here, we're gonna take a little bit of a step back, and they stop submitting their fibers. But what Gladwell Sport does is that they end up, they take these turf systems and they grade it on 4 different criteria. Number 1, UV stability, just like we talked about. 2, feel. Number 3, recovery. And number 4, tear. And they end up giving you a total score. So you know exactly what you're getting in your field as far as the quality of fiber. So that elite system that we offered, that's Vertex Core, that comes with a 10-year third-party insured warranty. And I kind of talked to Justin a little bit about this, and I thought that it was interesting. We'll touch on the warranty side in a second. But whenever it comes to this fiber, it actually scores a perfect 100 in terms of UV stability. Our previous version that we're providing you as far as our Prestige and Vertex Prime options, that comes with our Revolution 360 fiber monofilament. That fiber's lasted anywhere from 10 to 14 years. This one scores a perfect 100 as far as UV stability, and it's 89 and 90. I know what school people think. They take a look at it and they go, oh, sweet B plus, A minus fiber. No, this leads the industry, and like by far. Like there are fibers out there that literally score in the 20s as far as FPI goes. So that's why, and that's because it's a dual polymer fiber.
So what's the
Students.
cost difference between what you did at 6 pounds and the second tier fiber versus the 9 pound and the best fiber?
I didn't show you a 9.2 pound system. We stuck to 2 1/4 inch.
Okay.
I can show you a 2 1/2.
I just wanna know what the
Sure.
cost difference would be.
Yep. So Vertex 57 6-pound system that'll honestly outperform anything that you're looking at right now, is obviously the base bid price. Now, whenever you go to Vertex Core, for example, that literally, and I had them all written down because it's hard to remember all of them, but whether it's, let me go through it.
67, right?
Yeah, so now it's 67 grand. Actually, I gotta be honest with you, it's a pretty darn good price. Yep, 67 grand.
And 17 grand for the additional color.
Correct. Yep. So that is going into 8.4 pounds of infill. It's exactly what we're installing for 2 fields at Scott County, Elizabethtown High School's replacement. We did 2 fields at Greenwood High School, 3 fields actually. One's a baseball infield at Greenwood High School down south. The Vertex Core is what WKU is Louisville L&N Stadium just replaced with. We're doing 5 fields with JCPS with Vertex Core. Erie County, Madison County Soccer. I'm missing Casey County is going with a 3 field. They're going with split film since it's kind of a multi-purpose field. With that, I'm missing an absolute ton, but I mean, Murray State plays on a 3-layer surface. Johnson Central, Ashland, Independence is going with Vertex Core.
They're getting that this year, right?
Yep, absolutely. So we have about anywhere from 20 to 25 fields going down as far
Have
as
y'all
fields.
started on?
Well,
Have y'all already started on?
absolutely. Yeah. We did Corbin, we did Middlesboro, we did Boyle County. All those are Vertex Core. Sorry. Since I don't have my
So,
list in front of me yet.
If we have a rip, what's your all's time to get here to fix it?
Yep. It's emergency situation, 24 hours. We can absolutely be here in 24 hours emergency situation. Now, every time? No. It'll be a couple of days for sure. There's some processing time and obviously scheduling up our crews time, but we do have local customer service. I know, you know what, some of these other companies, they do an incredible job as far as that goes. But also, we're gonna install it correct, but also we're gonna be extremely responsive, and we're gonna teach you as far as the grooming aspect of things. We also ended up providing a system as far as Field Turf Genius as an alternate in the proposal as well. We also provided you with annual service as an alternate. Just to give you an idea as far as Field Turf Genius, if you wanna talk about that real quick as well.
41,000.
So that's for 10 years. That's not something you're interested in. So all these fields, we get done with an install and you go, all right, awesome. Service team or install team, you know, field turf. how often do we groom this field? Well, you ask me, I'm gonna tell you 4 times a year. You're gonna deep tine it, you're gonna brush it, that's gonna be about 4 times a year. I don't know how often the field's being played. Do you guys know how often the field's being played?
During football season, it'll be
You got,
6 games.
6 game and then probably every other Saturday.
how many hours a week is that?
Maybe
12.
7, 8.
So the reason I ask that is because we're sitting here, we're thinking, right? And we're like, God, all right, well, what if they have, 6-on-5 drills out there? Like, okay, well, where's it being played? Whatever it might be. That's the tough thing about this industry is because there's nothing to track that. Well, until now. That sounds like a salesman. Until now. So we came out with a system called Field Turf Genius that actually oversees, it's designed for Premier League soccer fields. What it does is it turns your field into a smart field. That it's all web-based, it's tablet-based, web-based, and any one of you can have access to it. You can give me access to it. Primarily what it does is that it tracks, that it's 2 sensors that are attached to one of your lightsabers. And with it, it tracks the amount of play that's on your field with 11v11 competition. So once it hits a specific hour mark, it gives you an alert in a calendar format to where you know it's time to go in and deep time the field. But also what it does is that it creates hot and cold zones of the field to where, number one, you can rotate practices to where your field wears evenly, but also you know exactly where to concentrate your grooming on. So once it grooms in that area, literally your entire field will turn to green. So instead of red and yellow throughout different areas, because every single one of these fields is different. There's some fields that, you know what, in specific areas it gets absolutely hammered with play, and then some areas don't even get touched. So they don't even need to be groomed in a way. With it, it takes 4 daily snapshots of your field and automatically stores it into the system. It also, any GMAX testing that you have done in the field or any testing or reports, you can upload it in there to where it's all in one, and that price right there, that includes, it goes off of 3G, 4G, 5G data. It also goes off of, so all that data is included up front. All the system updates, you're good to go for 10 years. Louisville just put it in their indoor. Greenwood just installed it at 2 fields down there. Elizabethtown's gonna be installing it on their field as well. I'm sure to educate you about it. It's a great option. We see it building in the safety of your field more than anything, but then also more so than anything, also extending the life of your field, I'd say a year, maybe 2 with that. But with this Vertex core, or with this core fiber, since our Revolution 360 fiber previously, that was with that was getting us anywhere from 10 to 14 years, and it's still intact. It's just laid over primarily, but that safety that's still in the field. I see this, like all of a sudden you're putting an extra 2 years. Obviously, we're putting 2 more years on the warranty, but that is something that I do want to talk about as well.
How does it hold up against band?
Absolutely terrific.
So, because
A lot of marching in one spot.
yeah, and then would you suggest they alternate sides?
I think it helps.
And wear cleats.
Here's my thing is that with just monofilament fields, and I'll just, as a former coach, I was a Field Turf customer, and obviously I joined Field Turf, and I cover Ohio and Kentucky. That I'm also our baseball and softball development manager, so I'm not some sales guy that just drinks the company Kool-Aid and says, hey, this is what we got, and this is what you should buy, and these are the reasons why. I'm in the development side, for sure, so I handle that throughout the entire country. So I know these things inside and out, for sure. That whenever we talk about honestly, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but having said that the warranty aspect, that's something that was kind of interesting to me, because you take a look at some of the warranties that are out there, and I know Justin ended up taking off the third-party insured warranty. That's something that I thought was really interesting, because all of our products automatically come with a third-party insured warranty. If someone's not providing you a third-party insured warranty, you know what, you're not fully covered. And read the fine print in that warranty for sure, because all of our products come with either an 8 or 10-year third-party insured warranty. And the reason for that is because you take a look at the turf industry, it's pretty volatile. you have big name companies that have filed for bankruptcy 3 times in the past 15 years. Or if a distributor all of a sudden files a bankruptcy or they're taking someone else. Like, our biggest goal is to educate you about synthetic turf and obviously what provides the safety, what provides the durability side, but also making sure that we stand by as a company to make sure that you are mitigating the type of risk that you're putting into this, because, you know, it's expensive, obviously. You're seeing that it's expensive, for sure. But that's what makes us the industry leader in terms of the safety and grass-like performance. Are we trying to be the best? Old school, well, we are. But having said that, are we trying to be the best carpet company? No, we're not. Like, I know a lot of different infills that are out there. You know, we have every single alternative infill across the board. I know you've already heard about pea gravel, right? Heard about pea gravel, putting that in the field and how it'll improve drainage. Well, no, wash silica sand and our specific rubber side, it does an incredible job. Finger coated backing does an incredible job. There's organics that are out there that we have every single organic across the board, whether it's olive core or corn cob we just came out with, or cork or wood chips. I've seen all these different things we put into fields. They don't provide any of that safety side. So then what do you have to come back with? You have to come back with one of these to provide any type of safety. So with it, all of our fields, and how I like to compare kind of like that 3 and 2 layer system a little bit between these two. This right here, this is like a pitcher of golf balls. Heavy, but because of the particle size, there's going to be some air void in it. So it's actually going to feel softer, especially when it's first installed. But what happens with that infill? Because of the particle size, displacement starts moving, right? Still great, incredible surface. But when you get to the 3-layer system with the cryogenic rubber that's frozen, hammer milled, and it gives you a smaller particle size. And with it, that cryogenic rubber, it locks up with the washed silica sand to where it's almost like a pitcher full of BBs. Like that 3-layer system, really, really heavy, really, really dense, to where there's not going to be as much movement, and it provides that safety to support the cleat, the traction, and the rotational resistance.
So this estimate you gave us, is it for the Vertex core or the Prestige Vertex?
No, it's a Vertex 57.
Yep, so the lead, our base bid, is that 6-pound system.
Okay.
Vertex 57. Then you get to Vertex Prime, it's A2 in there, and that is a 3-layer surface, but it's still an 8-year warranty. Great system. Great system. But honestly, and it's not my money to spend, but for 15 cents extra per square foot, all of a sudden to go to Vertex Core, it gives you the 10-year warranty, the dual polymer fiber, all of the great things about the 3-layer system. I think Vertex Core, and I could have shown you a 2.5 inch, tried upselling you like crazy. I think Vertex Core 2.25 inch is the best value that we have in the industry. If you can afford it, it'd be great to go into a 9.2 pound system. But I think 8.4 provides the best value in the industry. And here's also what's beneficial about it as well. So whenever you take a look at this 3-layer surface, with this 3-layer surface, it's really easy for us on the back end to actually reuse infill. So 2-layer surface, this, you know, it's gonna get displaced, and you know what, we go in there when it's time to replace your field from year 10 to 14, and we test the infill. Yeah, we can maybe scrape some of this infill off and maybe reuse it in the field, but it's not the best process, to be totally frank. 3-layer surface, we do this throughout the country. Miami University, we just replace their field, we're reusing infill. Wright State University, on their soccer field, we're just gonna reuse their infill. It's, you know, everyone that we talk to with a 3-layer surface, 3-layer to 3-layer, we show them an option to reuse infill. WKU, big powerhouse, or big time football program, right? Big setting. We're reusing infill there because, you know, they needed a cost savings. So with that, we test the infill beforehand. We don't just go in there blindly. We test it in 3 different spots. We send it back to our plant. They test it for any type of contaminants. I've worked for Field Turf for over 6 years now. Those contaminants, I have not had one failure. Have you had fields fail? Yes. I have not had one either. with that, if there's no contaminants and passes the test, that's literally what we do is we extract all the infill, we provide a new sand ballast, we reuse that mixture as that middle layer, and then new B-level cryogenic rubber. It ends up saving you about 30 cents a square foot, 30 to 40 cents a square foot on the back end. So that initial investment that you're making on the front end, you're getting half of it back primarily on the back end.
Any questions?
I know that's an absolute ton, but what I would recommend on the orange side, and I know that you guys don't have it as far as time goes, I'd look at some fields, like as far as orange, year 9, year 10, and see how they've worn and
There's not
faded.
one.
There isn't any.
No, but even end zones, like for example, like orange end zones, and go see whether it's from us or, I'll try to find one, cause I think actually Middlesboro, well, actually, I'm not sure on that one, but we have to have an orange field. That's another one of our
Orange
end zones.
zones or.
Yeah.
Did y'all
Yeah.
do lead camp?
Nope. So here's the deal, that it's interesting in Kentucky with our company. So our company that I took over for someone who covered Kentucky, but he was in Western PA, and business was so good in Western PA and West Virginia, he didn't come down here. So got thrown to my side as I took over Ohio, and it went from, they'd say it, a little bit more of a commodity turf state to all of a sudden, customers like yourself really wanted to dig into it in terms of the safety, the performance side. And that we've, I think, definitely separated ourselves in the industry throughout the entire state, judging by the amount of fields that are going in on our side. We have the crews to support it. We do an incredible job. We're not rushing by any means with all these fields. We take 4 weeks as far as installing them. Usually it's a week.
So, when it's an 18-week lead, that's when we would get it. So
It's not counting.
If you're going orange. Yep. And I'd say 3 weeks, because 3 weeks
So,
makes your field, 1 week it makes your field all green. We sew our panels together. We don't glue our panels, and we sew them with a salvage edge flap that's tucked underneath your field. Just take a quick example. But also what we do is we sew with a salvage edge flap. There's 3 ways to put these fields in the ground. They come in 15-foot wide panels, and they end up butting them up to one another. They either come in with seam tape, and they tape and glue it down. Well, you know what? You don't know how well that adhesive has worked until like year 2, year 3.
Like
as
a
you kind of
carpet.
see. Absolutely. Or they say we sew, but they butt these two up to one another, and they sew along right here. It's called a butt seam. So with that butt seam, what ends up happening is spikes end up hitting it, and UV ends up hitting it. It doesn't create as durable a seam. With us, we actually sew, and we sew these by hand out on site. They're sewn on site with the salvage edge flap. This is tucked underneath your field to where the seam doesn't get hit by UV or spikes. And then also with all your hash marks in your field, for example, what everyone else does, there's 360 hash marks in your field. What every turf company does is they cut into the backing and pretty much create a hole. They cut into the backing, they put a piece of seam tape and glue it down. Well, that's creating 360 failure points on your field. With us, we actually sheep shear down to the backing and hot melt a line down into it to where we don't break the backing. Only place that we're cutting in your field, end zone letters and logo, just because of the sheer size of that. So, having said that, yes, I know that we're dealing with, and I can see what we can do, but the reason for it is that we have to make that fiber specifically for your field. Now, obviously, we make fields per your field. There's some great things that we can definitely do, but I would recommend, if you got some time, and I know time is of the essence right now since we're a little bit late in the process, and if we were talking about this in January and working on it, obviously it wouldn't be an issue to go all orange. But I would, whether it's with us or anybody else, I would recommend that you go see some fields that are year 8, year 9, year 10, and with orange end zones, and just look at that and see the quality, and know that you're gonna see that throughout your entire field. I'm not trying to scare you off either way, just trying to educate you. Because you know what, we have, for example, an all blue field in Ohio, where Ravenna High School, that thing is 11, 12 years old. Is it faded? Yeah, it's faded a little bit, but it looks great still to this day. Three-layered surface, it looks absolutely beautiful. But there's also some colors, like in orange, like a red, there is some fading to them. I know that you probably want extra UV stability and all of that stuff. It's not even as far as the UV stability, it's more about the color steadfastness as far as the fiber goes, where ours are incredibly color steadfast, but even green's gonna fade a little bit for sure. So I just wanna set expectations just in the turf industry more than anything.
We appreciate you coming in.
Of course, of course.
Did I ask you if y'all did Eastern Washington?
I'm not sure on that one.
Cause
They're all red.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, we have a lot of colors in fields out there. We actually just did one in New York last year, all black.
There's no way, that'd be like kind of concrete.
You know what's funny about that though? Is that as far as temperature goes, it's only like 2 to 3 degrees less. Or more, I'm sorry. Like this field surface temperature. When I heard that, I go, no way.
I bet they would put it in Texas.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, is heat a concern for you?
Not really.
That'd be like street ball playing on concrete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hot.
It actually looks pretty cool, but yeah, it's, when I saw it, I go, ooh, no way, but then when I heard the temperature difference, that's not that much, I thought that was really interesting. But,
So that, it's not gonna be, it wouldn't be a big deal to even do that,
what,
but it'd still be an 18-week lead time.
absolutely, yep.
Either way.
It's cause the amount of color fiber,
Yeah.
but, so everyone else is saying 11, 12 weeks for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do whatever I can, but, trust me, I pushed a little bit on the front end, I go, 18 weeks for this, huh? And they said, yeah, like that's, and we don't make promises that we can't keep, so I'd rather,
You extrude your own materials,
everything.
so do you have like for color, do you have like a specific machine just doing all different colors? And then you would have to dedicate that machine or dedicate a green machine just to do a full orange one?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure on that one, Lloyd. Like that's actually a really good question. I know on our side, when we first started this industry and started extruding our own fiber and putting color into it, I believe that we always started with a green fiber,
Yeah.
and then we ended up changing the color off of that, where it didn't make it as color steadfastness until we ended up changing our process.
Cause these are all injected molded, right?
Yeah, and yeah, you know what? You want to come to MBT or you want to come down to Calhoun? I'd love to show you. I really would, but obviously we don't have that type of time.
Yeah, but I'm just
I would
saying,
love
cause I know injection molding machines are very, very expensive.
I'd have to ask on that.
And, you know, that's why they're giving you an 18-week lead time, because they're either gonna have to dedicate one machine to run a whole orange field,
Right.
or pull the green and do a color change to run a whole orange field.
Right.
So, but how many machines do you have? That's the question. What can you dedicate
Yeah.
that much fiber to, right?
Yeah, that's a good question, especially when we have now 2 fiber extrusion plants, one in MET in Germany and then the other actually in Emirates that we just opened up as well. But it's all shipped to obviously Calhoun, Georgia, where stuff we put it back. It's made here in the US. But obviously we get our fiber being the world leader in synthetic turf. We want to go where the best technology is. But this is something else that we didn't talk about. So soccer. I know soccer's really picky about turf. Or soccer actually sometimes hates turf. But that's when it's a different system. So the majority of our fields, like in everything that we're providing here, is a FIFA quality type of field. So you talk about turf playing like grass and performing like natural grass. That's why we have literally an entire MLS played on because it's designed to replicate the performance and safety of natural grass. So soccer will be more than thrilled with it. But if the orange is the deal breaker, I get it.
We appreciate you coming in.
Of course. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. get a few minutes, I think that it would be really worth your time as far as the webinar goes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But thank you guys.
Appreciate all the info.
Yes, sir.
I know it's a lot. Especially after listening to 4 others before me, but, you need me to leave a sample of anything?
No, we're good.
You don't need a box?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
How far you have to drive?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah. I'm always in the area. As I talked about the field that we're doing in this area, that, yeah, I come down here a good amount, so. As a former coach and recruiter and all that stuff, you know what?
Yep.
Sometimes driving at night, it's nice.
And you're driving a good car.
Well, it's Toyota, heck, I'm gonna put, 350, 400,000 miles on it.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna be,
Did you turn the air conditioner off?
am I gonna be alright with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with that,
Are you cold, Justin?
I told Jeff earlier, I don't have thyroid, so
Me neither.
it doesn't matter to me.
Alright, I promise you, I'm cutting up quick, I know you guys got stuff to cover and you're probably tired.
It's some new business.
Shall we move along?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. Alright, moving along, new business. Need to consider motion to approve a bid for the greenhouse project. Justin talked about that a little bit earlier. Thank
Hey,
you,
thank you.
nice to meet you,
Yeah, I
sir.
appreciate it, thank
Do
you.
you wanna table that,
Well, we wanna,
or?
If you guys can just authorize me to enter into negotiations
Okay,
and see how much lower we can get that.
Yeah.
Do we have that as a different motion?
Do we have to do that and then vote on it next week?
no, consider motion to approve this, so rather than approve the bid, it would be enter into competitive negotiations with the bid.
Okay.
I think Frank will be fine there.
Yeah.
so, I need, we need to consider a motion to approve a bid for the greenhouse for Justin to do some competitive
Negotiation.
negotiations. Do I hear a motion, Ricky? Second by Louis, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. B, consider a motion to approve a bid for the Blank Collier Stadium turf, walking track, and phase 1 project.
So, as Justin mentioned earlier, we got 2 bids for that project. One of them was
This was 1.2.
Yeah.
1.12.
So, my recommendation to the board would be to, accept the low bid there,
It's not good here.
from Nationwide Sports Construction Company.
Sorry, I didn't even get an opportunity to say that. So,
B, consider a motion to approve a
hey,
bid
by the
for
way,
Blank Collier Stadium
Nationwide,
turf and
they're
walking
actually
track
field turf
phase
certified
1
installer.
project,
Now they red logos for the Massacs before you're done.
from Nationwide Construction. Do
Let
I
me know if
hear a
any
motion?
questions. Thank you.
What's the hardest part?
No, it's just,
It's all the work except the dirt. This is the dirt and the track.
Oh,
Thank you. What's your name?
Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
it's pretty much just the dirt work.
Okay.
All the
It's,
back part.
it's everything till you get to the curb. It's the concrete curb out and all the dirt underneath of it.
And this is the part where you're saying it's gonna be green all the way around.
This will be the prepping for the turf. This will be everything ready.
Yeah, getting the
except for
dirt ready.
It's
drainage.
modifying the grades, it's installing the
Raising the
track,
track
putting the
up.
track surface down.
And then the curb is where they're gonna cut this.
They'll
they're
take
gonna come
over
in and
from
do
the
their own
Curb
drainage
and
and
the drain.
everything.
Yes.
Okay, alright.
This is all the dirt work basically before the
Okay.
get ready.
Okay.
And it'll be, the one that, the lowest bid that came in,
Mhm.
with Nationwide Sports Construction.
Have we vetted those? Them?
I know we've got an email into,
Corbin.
David Cox, Corbin, JC actually just walked by and said they're a certified, field turf installer, so he has a lot of experience with it.
So do I hear a motion to approve this bid from Nationwide Sports Construction?
Motion.
Motion by Bruce, second by Louis, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Fun party. Item C, consider a motion to approve a bid for the field turf. And we just heard 5 proposals, so.
Can we go around the room?
I guess 15 minutes is arbitrary.
Well, can we go around the room and then you make your interjections to it?
Sure.
Alright, so for me, I think field turf, sprint field, and Hella. That's why I say sprint turf, is because sprint turf, I know that they're invested in this area. And that company will try to make us the best product they can ever possibly make. Sprint field, I think we'll do the same, field turf and Hella will do the same thing. And you said that we could probably afford either one, right?
I mean, we didn't get the bids till today, and I was basing, we do the 907 number earlier today, and then we didn't have these numbers, so we had the one number from Field Turf. Field Turf was the only number we got, so.
So everything else is under it, pretty much.
Their base bid was the lowest of all of them.
Field turf?
Yeah,
They were 500 and something.
581.
Yeah, but I'm talking about if we add in and to get to the level of Hella, we could get more product at the same price.
Yeah, Hellas was the highest by far.
Yeah,
Saying Field Turf was the
973,000.
cheapest, is what I was saying.
Yeah.
The only thing with field turf is they damn near have to order it tomorrow.
Well,
Yeah, I was looking, so that 18-week timeline, we're at right now.
So
That 18 weeks.
18 weeks from today is August the 13th, and then he said 4-week install, that'd be September 10th.
Alright, so I've got a plan for this. Bourbon County owes us. And because we let them play for an entire season down here on our field when their new field went in. They
don't even remember that.
They owe
They
us,
don't.
and if we wanted to go with them, to get the extra time, we could actually play some games at Bourbon County. Cause we should be able to negotiate.
If they don't have home games.
I know, but we should be able to negotiate between the.
If the schedule
Well,
get conflict.
so right now, if we switch Frankfurt, then our time is,
September.
is like, our first home game wouldn't be until like August 28th, correct?
I think so. Around then.
And that's still wouldn't put us there.
That would be
And we still have we still have 3 weeks.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we still have that option to go to Bourbon County to play, because their field's gonna be done. Ours isn't, if we go with field turf, for 18 weeks, and, they owe us, really, because they played their entire season here at Paris.
Yeah.
While when we played away, they played here.
I mean, I think it's a hurdle we can work around. Like I said, I already talked to Taquan, he's fine with Frankfurt flipping a game and just going to there where we get an extra home game next year on that Frankfurt game, and I think the other one is Montgomery County, which we've got a good relationship with them. If we continue playing them, could potentially do a swap out with them, where the first.
Back to back?
No, it's Frankfurt's opening week and Montgomery's week 4, so say we could get to week, and I think there's another away there, so we could potentially swap.
Cause we have cause we have to go to Painesville and Hazard. Yeah, I think it's.
Cause we only have 4 home games this year.
I think the prudent thing to do would be, if we really, you need to decide you really wanna go, if you're taking the dates out, is Field Turf the one you all wanna go with?
I like that.
Is the main thing.
Do what?
I
Well,
like field turf.
I like field turf, but I also like the Sprint turf, because we can get the best product that they got and still be at that, in the same ballpark. And we can get the Predator field.
Well, see,
That's true.
so if we go with Sprint turf, is that to get the pad and the Predator, is that going, and with the best infield also, is that gonna be what, $150,000 added on to his?
Yeah, but that's gonna be way under the,
Sprint turf,
way under Hellas.
well, Sprint turf is 600, I mean, it'd still be
And 50,000 for the best turf, 70,000 for the best padding, comes to $741,890.
Yeah.
$90. Is that what you had
Which,
And we would stay in the timeline, so,
with Sprint turf?
and we could get the, we could ask for the Predator turf at that point.
Well, I think JC's the only one that asked his supplier what the timeline is.
No, the others, we specifically asked them to address the timeline issue
Okay.
in their
Yeah, they don't-
proposals. Most of them said it doesn't make any difference, you know.
Okay.
The only thing that's gonna make his difference is they gotta do the color changes, and they gotta ship it from either one of two places, Germany or Arab Emirates. So, they gotta ship it to the United States. Everybody else builds, from my understanding,
they do it here.
they do it here.
Right.
That's the only other big thing. The infield, I mean, you know, we go with Sprint turf, get the best pile, get the best infield that we can get, and if, you know, we got a pad we gotta put down, get the best pad we can put down.
Well, the best was gonna add, what we asked about that was gonna add 70,000 more, and then going with that best turf,
It's 30 grand.
it was, 50, he said, well, might as well just say 50,000 more. He did start out at 30, but he said,
Yeah,
like,
if you wanna go, you wanna go up to,
right,
Yeah, I didn't know, I thought maybe he was talking about ounces,
about.
yeah, he was talking about ounces, going up to,
up to
50 ounces.
50 ounces,
yeah,
I
50 ounces.
think is what he said,
Yeah.
So,
from 48.
I mean, thinking of it that way, then Sprint turf would be definitely number one.
Yeah, cause I mean, I was adding everything up, and I'm like, well, if we get everything on here, if we get their extras on here, we're gonna be under everybody else's extras.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whoever we go with, if we get, you know, semi-best on one company, best on the other company, we're gonna have a good feeling no matter what.
Yeah.
True.
But we still got the Bourbon County option. If you really wanna go with Field Turf, because they do owe us. Like I said, they played an entire season on our field.
That may be the case, but they may have home games same weekend we do, and it may not just be that. I hadn't explored that, so, I mean.
Yeah.
That would be maybe the only drawback would be the conflict of schedules.
I mean, that's
Not
just,
saying they wouldn't do it.
September 10th is just forever away.
Yeah.
And that doesn't factor in any kind of weather days,
Yeah.
so.
I would have to go with Sprint turf just because they're local and I know we'll be able to get it done, and even if it bleeds over, we can still, it's still not gonna be September, cause, you know.
Now, hold on, Sprint Turf or?
Spin turf.
Yeah.
Sprint turf.
Spin Turf or the other?
You
What was
said-
the other one?
Field turf, sprint
Field
turf,
turf and
sports field,
Sports Field.
Mott's and
Yeah.
Hellas.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought they were okay, but
Seemed a bit unorganized.
unorganized.
Yeah.
they're very unorganized and stuff, and I think, you know,
I like Spin Turf.
I would do that with the upgrades. To me.
With the upgrades.
I think Sprint turf with the upgrades too.
Yeah.
So the upgrades of the
The Predator Field.
The Predator field,
Predator,
It's,
and the pad, the
Safety pad.
The safety's
Yeah.
pad.
because you can see, I mean, it's the infield and everything on that one,
Mhm.
the Predator.
and that's a better price point.
Yep.
About the others.
Yeah, it goes crazy.
So we are going to go with, alright, Louis, who are you going with?
Sprinter.
Sprinter,
Sprinter.
Sprinter,
I don't know if I would say.
I know, I'm just.
No,
looking
I'm
at you.
good, like I said, I
What do
think,
you think, Justin?
I think they
Yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah.
I told Mr.
Interject-
McCauley this
interject
earlier.
us.
We've had very successful projects with every single one of those
Okay.
turf manufacturers, so
Okay,
if there was one that stood out that we hadn't had a good experience with, I'd tell you about it.
And-
Early on, when Sprint Turf first got here, we were working with people that were working from Charleston, South Carolina, Daniel Island,
Yeah.
right outside of Charleston. Now, I think they have better local representation than they did at that
Yeah.
time. But I first worked with them at Bardstown, Independent, and that was like 17 or 18, so.
Well, just give you a quick little background. The reason I asked is because I knew both of those one's been a coach and one had played, so they know fields.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at. So,
Plus, he's got pairs of Bourbon County roots that do from Sprinter.
Yeah.
So,
alright,
So we need-
so I need a motion to, approve a bid on the field turf. I need
a motion?
From, from which?
Spurfield.
for Spring, okay,
second.
from, Bruce, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Alright, item D, consider motion to approve requesting proposals for naming rights for the Paris High School, Paris Middle School Library.
Similar to what we did with the
Football field.
logo, it's in the folder.
Sure. Okay, so, do I hear a motion to approve the proposals for naming the rights to our middle school, high school library?
Motion, Bruce.
Motion by Bruce, second by Ricky, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you, motion carries. Consider motion to approve 2023-2024 updated job descriptions.
These are two things just related to nurse and district health coordinator, they're copy and paste from KDE's website. It's just something we didn't have on, we don't have record of there being a board approved role of that, so it may happen, but we don't have it in there, so we need to have those in place.
Like, reading through that, one person can get that done? I mean, I'm just saying,
KDE, I think KDE's gonna do some work on their job descriptions in the near future, but,
cause
that's
I
what
mean,
we've got right now.
I mean, I can't even imagine
Taking care of 3 schools, one
taking
nurse.
care of 3 schools, and if something crazy pops up, having to leave to go to one or the other.
Well, that's what we've got for long term, we've got Sterling Health, which is a in-house clinic, which helps lighten that load, but then also Jen and I are talking with some other companies that potentially pay for nurses inside schools and can bill enough to cover that, so that's one of the things we're looking at going into next year. But we just need to cover the last 35 days of the school year.
Can we look at, like, the traveling nurse programs in this area to see if they had anybody who could fill in that?
I mean, we can, it's just going back to, what we're trying to find is, there should be enough Medicaid billing within our population for a company, a lot of school districts, the company will pay for a nurse to be in your school, whereas right now, we're still paying the salary out of the general fund, so we're trying to work to where we can bill enough to offset the cost of one, and usually that's through an agency as opposed to an outside vendor.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the traveling nurse program, they might do that through Medicaid.
But I don't know what company that is.
There's a bunch of them that does it.
I don't know if a traveling nurse will come here for 35 days.
I asked my daughter,
she does that type work.
Yeah, I mean, I know one that lives in Bourbon County that, you know, she does it right in Lexington, so.
I mean, we got some companies that specialize in doing that in schools that we're reaching out to, kinda like, I've even got a meeting with Sterling Health later this week to talk to them about, hey, is there enough building here for you guys to help us offset the cost of a nurse? That's really where we're trying to get where we can get some help with funding that, and maybe even have 2 nurses. You know?
Well, all I'm saying is these traveling nurses, they do one nurse at a time at these different facilities. So they might be able to get us a nurse at a good price here for that 35 days till you can find something else.
We've got some hired for this year, we're
Oh.
good for the rest of the
Oh.
year. This just cleans up the job description to match up with who we have.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and we got somebody hired over spring break.
So do I hear a motion to approve the 2023-2024 updated job description?
Motion, Bruce.
Motion by Bruce, second by Ricky, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ricky,
Second.
second by Bruce, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
I need to get my transfer.
Oh, yeah.